Very good afternoon, one and all present here. Welcome to 22nd International Business Horizon INBUSH Era 2022, where the prime theme of this year is nurturing people, purpose, partnership, planet, and performances for creating sustainable world-class organization. This is our second day and the second panel discussion, theme Women at Workplaces, Building and Nurturing an Inequitable Workplace. The success of every woman should be an inspiration to others. It is well said in Vedas by Manu, and here I unquote, Yatra Nari Pujante, Ramante Tatra Devta, which means that honor and divinity of a woman will flourish. And wherever a woman worships or lives, there is God and goodness. Empowering women is empowering humanity. We are women and we are never trying to race with men. There is no doubting that the strength of a woman comes from her womanhood. The inherent qualities of endurance, empathy, inspiration, creativity, tolerance, dignity, gentleness, kindness, and integrity, of acceptance and accepting change is what symbolizes a woman. A woman is never idle. With the changing gliders of work dynamics, women role at workplaces are also changing. A panel discussion on theme Women at Workplaces, Building and Nurturing an Equitable Workplace is one of the most exciting sessions of our 22nd INBUSH Era 2022. And now I would like to invite Pooja Chauhan ma'am.
Kavita, if you can.
I think Group Vice Chancellor Dr. Gurinder Singh sir has joined us. A big force of inspiration to all of us. And sir, this is your inspiration that we are heading this kind of session. And the brainchild that you have given to INBUSH is making us reach to all the pinnacles of success. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kavita Thaplal, and what a pleasure to welcome all of you. At MIT University, we have got special respect for the leaders who have not only excelled in their personal life, but have been the role model for many youth icons who have been contributing most successfully in the area of education, in the area of industry, in the area of research. Today we have got a very learned panel, and we have got with us Ms. Anuradhi Bhattacharya ji. A very warm welcome to you. Before we start with the panel discussion, we have got a few questions, and we would like to have conversation with her. And from there, we will start our panel discussion. But just to set a tone, I'm giving you a few statistics which will give you a brief idea that how we are going to take this panel discussion forward. We were reading last evening and having a brainstorming session, and some very alarming facts were highlighted to us. On the scale of 10, if you look at the satisfaction level of the females who are working professionals, we find that 8.7, 87% of the females whom we have interacted, they have pointed out that they are having many challenges when they go out and they work. 79% of them, they have pointed out that they feel depressed or they have been harassed. 79% of them. In a questionnaire which we have circulated, 93% of the young girls below the age of 25, they have highlighted that they have been harassed in one way or the other. It can be by the colleagues, it can be by the fellow boys, or it can be traveling in the metro, or whether they are talking or whether they are having discussions. So having said that, another question which we asked was that have they reported out? 97% of the girls, they said that they never reported the incidents to their parents. So you can very well understand the kind of harassment they go through. And still, you will find the performance of the females at the workplace and in the schools and in the university education. From the last 20 years, the data suggests that every time class 12 results are out, the toppers are female. It's always the girls who top, they outperform, which means that they have always outshined the boys. But then, if you look at that where they stand once they graduate or once they post graduate, in the Fortune 500 companies, only 9% of the CEOs they are females. Till class 12th, you will find that they are always excelling in education. Then what happens? Once they do their graduation, once they do their post graduation, they are nowhere. At MIT, we have tried our level best that we should be able to inculcate this spirit that they should not stop. And our chairperson, Dr. Amita Chauhan, who is leading our all schools, and Mrs. Pooja Chauhan, who is the chairperson of MIT Humanity Foundation and who has joined in the panel discussion through the MIT Humanity Foundation, where she is trying that we should not only be able to give the equal opportunity to the girls, but make it sure that they should have a confidence in themselves. They should be able to do something not only for their families but for the society, and should be able to go at the pedestal which where they should get the right place which they of course professionally and rightly deserve. Mrs. Pooja Chauhan herself is a chartered accountant, a gold medalist, has worked in the PwC before joining MIT, and is now very successfully running the MIT institutions and MIT Humanity Foundation. She's going to speak a bit later, but we will start our conversation with Miss Bhattacharya. And there are a lot of questions which youngsters they want to ask you. I think that one of the questions which we want to ask you, Ms. Bhattacharya, is you are a role model. You have done so much for the cause of the females. Young girls from schools, from universities, they take you as an icon. In your book, Indomitable, you spoke about women empowerment. What is the most important factor in empowering women at workplaces? Because wherever we go, we feel that people talk about giving equal rights, but no one empowers them. Over to you, ma'am.
First of all, thank you very much. It's indeed an honor to be on such a distinguished panel. I can see that you have extremely distinguished people waiting to speak as well, and I'd love to hear them and gain experience from them. However, regarding the question that you have put forward, what is it that can empower a woman in the workspace? I think, it's not one thing. I think it's basically, I would like to talk about three things. The first thing that I feel that, there is very little in the workplace is empathy. Empathy for what the status of a woman is in society today. No matter what we do, we have to believe, not only believe, we are convinced that even today, women are seen as the primary caregiver in a household. Now, if that be the case, if they are still the primary caregiver, then they do have dual roles. Okay. Now, having a dual role doesn't mean that you are doing a shoddy job of one and a great job in the other. In fact, I do not believe that you can have a great manager and a poor housewife. A person who is great as a manager is also great as a housewife. The fact only is that there is a call on their time. And if you don't empathize with that, then actually you have the difficulty of losing people as they go along in their career. Today, if you look at it, say if I revert back to my earlier organization, which is State Bank, which is a large recruiter, we used to recruit about 33% of the females at the bottom level, that's at the beginning level. However, when you went up to senior management, that 33% would have shrunk to 4%. And this is true of most organizations. Why is this the case? So there is a leaky pipeline. And if you've got to plug that leaky pipeline, you have to first empathize with what a woman is going through, that she will prioritize work over family at times and family over work at times. Okay. So if you understand that, you will make available to her the means to do both. So empathy is the first thing. The second thing I think is policies. And these policies could flow from the government, could flow from the institution, could flow from any place. And what do I mean by policies? I mean policies like, say, paternity leave. I mean policies that, support a woman while she is at work. So, creches, other health benefits, to ensure that the woman is not simply burning herself out. Okay. So, yes, policies are also important. And I think the third and the very important thing, which should come from the woman herself, is that she needs to have collaborative teams both at work and at home. Believe me, collaborative teams at home are equally important, because there will be times when, if you are taking your career seriously, and I know that there are some really, really brilliant people on this panel, and they can attest to that fact, is that there are times when you will have to prioritize work over home. Now, when you do that, you should not feel guilty about it, and you should have enough support at home to ensure that whatever was your duty is still getting taken care of. I've often made one comment, that don't let your absence be noticed, but let your presence be felt. If you have the kind of teams that you really need, your absence, whether at work or at home, will not be felt, because somebody else will step in to fill up that gap. It should happen at work as well. If my team is fully empowered and knows exactly what I'm doing, I will suddenly have to proceed on leave, but they will know how to fill up my gap, so that anybody asking for any inputs, any delivery that is required to be given, they will still do it on time. So unless and until the woman herself also creates this, deliberately creates it if it is necessary, then it becomes difficult to manage both, and ultimately you end up giving up one or the other. And that should not be the case. You can do both, but we need, from both sides, there has to be some amount of understanding as to what can help us achieve these goals.
Thank you. Ms. Bhattacharya, we circulated a small note on your book to our students, and they have many questions for you. And one of the things I think that which we have noted in your book is that you are talking about leadership, that how females, they can meet the leadership role. One of the very young student who is from MIT schools, class 11th, she has sent a comment to us. And then there's a very senior student who's doing postdoc with us. She's also sending comment to us, and I am combining both the comments and asking you a question. For a female, you are saying that she can become a great leader, but when we see her role in the family, we see that maybe that she is earning well, but when it comes to spending money, she is still taking the decisions from someone else. She's earning, she's having a good bank balance, but when it comes to spending, she has to spend some money. Let's say that she has to write a check of 100,000 to her brother. She will think 20 times spending 100,000 and giving this check to her brother. So this is one example which we have got from one of the young students, and the other one is that at workplace also, when it comes to taking the decisions, we have seen that most of the females, when they take a leadership role, it's very difficult for many of us to take them as a leader. So what do you think is the most significant barrier? They are doing so well, academically bright, a good family, confidence, qualification-wise, very good. So what do you think is the most significant barrier to the female leadership? And have you ever been afraid when you became a leader, when you were doing a job?
To take your last question first, no, I have not.
Right.
I have known many women who are extremely qualified, extremely accomplished, but their tax returns are still being done by their husbands. Why is that, please? I do my husband's tax returns, by the way. It's the other way around. So the fact is, taking your decision as to how you spend your money, that should be a given from day one. Absolutely a given from day one. You have to establish what are the things that you want to do, and you have to take responsibility for them. If you want to make money available, your own hard-earned money, nobody else's money, okay? If you want to make it available to a friend or to a family member for some of their needs, absolutely no reason why they should not go ahead and do it. The fact of the matter is, does that mean that you will not tell your partner? No, it doesn't mean that. I would definitely, uh, discuss with my spouse or with my family that this is the requirement and I'm doing this. What do you think about it? Not that I'm asking them for their permission, but I'm definitely, ensuring that they are part and parcel of what I'm doing. However, I expect the same behavior from the partner as well. So if my husband is doing the same thing, I expect him to also tell me that this is what I would like to do, and what is your opinion about it. And if you set that tone right in the beginning, that we expect not to have secrets, we expect not to have a no every time we approach, and we expect it to be an equal partnership, I think over a period of time, these things settle out. But from the very beginning, if you start from a premise that if I'm going to ask, that means it'll be a no, you are really, putting yourself in a defensive position. I've always believed, and I have read The Art of War, as I'm sure many of you all have done. Offense is the best defense. Never ever be defensive about something which you feel is right and which you are doing. Today, of course, the situation has come, I'm very comfortable in my the partnership with my spouse that I don't even ask him or tell him as to what I'm doing and where I'm donating or anything of the sort, and neither does he have to do that for me. In any case, I do his tax returns, so I know exactly what he is doing. But the fact of the matter is that, these are equations that you have to set right in the beginning, and you should not be defensive about what you feel you are doing, and especially if you think it's the right thing to do, because doing the right thing is the main thing over here. It's not doing what other people feel is right for you, it's doing what you feel is right for you. And if you stand by that in every action that you take, not only in the respect of giving money, but in every action you take, if you look at the risks and the benefits in all of these actions, you actually analyze it well, I don't really think that there should be a problem in setting up this equation whereby you are an equal partner in everything that you do.
You're right. I think it's a great message which you are giving to young boys and girls. But we have often seen, ma'am, that though we talk that there should be equal behavior, at homes we have often seen that if a guest is coming in, anyone who is coming in, and simply someone says, "Dolly, glass pani de do," right? So why Dolly has to bring water?
I agree.
Right? Why not Gurinder has to bring water? So
I agree with you.
yeah.
I agree with you. And believe me, this is something, where we are the ones who are responsible.
Yes.
The generation above us and our generation is responsible for this. So you have to actually go and get the water yourself a few times before, in order to set that example, that it is not Dolly who will give this water if necessary. If it's a requirement, you will get it. However, for instance, it's your friend who has come and you don't want to miss that little time, while you are discussing. You can surely ask your partner to lay it out as she can ask you when she is with her friend. It has to be an equal partnership. There cannot be a win-lose situation. If you create that equality, and again, I'll give you a very small example of how we learned these things when we were young. For instance, we came from a middle-class family, and the disposable income in those days was far less. On top of that, the families were large and they had to be supported. So we were three siblings. I was the youngest. The sibling just above me was my brother, and above that, my sister. Now, many of my brothers' hand-me-downs I used to wear. For instance, his pullovers, his boots, when they used to get small, they used to be handed down to me and I would wear them. So also my sister's frocks and whatever else we used to wear in those days. However, there was one thing which I had told my father. I had told him that my brother is 2 classes ahead of me. One thing I will not take is his used textbooks, because he is extremely careless about his textbooks. They are filled with all kinds of, stains. Either they be food stains or they be God knows mud stains or what. And I don't want to use those books. I want a fresh set of books. Now, my mother sometimes used to tell my father, why are you wasting money? It's the same books, excepting 1 or 2 would have changed in 2 years. Why are you simply wasting money? My father, however, used to say that this is her right. She will get a new set of books. And believe me, that was something very prized for me, because the parity of treatment that my father gave to both my brother and myself and my sister, I think that laid the foundations within us that everybody is equal. We will give you the same opportunities. After that, what you make of yourself is up to you. But the opportunities that will be given by us will be precisely the same.
Absolutely. It's such a privilege to speak to you. And with the brief conversation, I think that we will start with a panel discussion. We have got a very able panel, and very senior leaders from all walks of life. We welcome Ms. Sutapa Sanyal, a very senior IPS officer and former Director General of Police from UP. We have Dr. Tessie Thomas, a very distinguished scientist and Director General of the DRDO. We have got Dr. Harpreet Dey, Executive Director of Air India, a very senior female executive who has taken many challenges in her life and is also a trained pilot, by the way. Ms. Shweta Verma, who is Executive Director at PwC, and Ms. Shalini Pillai, who is a leader at KPMG, and Ms. Shilpa Ajwani, who is the founder and CEO of Mantra, an entrepreneur, and Ms. Sonal Jindal, promoter entrepreneur. And I think that there are large number of our students who are listening. By the way, just to share the philosophy of Dr. Mrs. Amita Chauhan and Mrs. Pooja Chauhan are already there, and our founder, Dr. Chauhan, our chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan. At MIT, we have tried that we should be able to bring diversity, but we should have gender equality. So you will find that 52% of the student population in MIT institutions, they are females. Right? Our vice chancellor, I'm a group vice chancellor, by the way, but our vice chancellor, who is very ably running a university, is a female, Dr. Balvinder Shukla. I think that most of the working leaders, and I was taking statistics, that they are 73% of the leadership roles are with females. So we are trying our part, and assurance to all the young boys and girls that when you go home, please see that you are able to bring a change in the society. And we are going to discuss these issues, which are very, very important, which are research issues, which we have taken from the questionnaire which we have sent. But before that, we would like to honor a very distinguished author and a very distinguished lady, Dr. Mrs. Bhattacharya. And I would request Mrs. Pooja Chauhan to do the honor and say a few words, and let's then give the award to her.
Dr. Singh, thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to say that I'm really very, very honored. Such dynamic, accomplished women in their own spheres of professionalism. So it's an honor and my welcome to all. And I would first like to start with Arundhati ji. Arundhati ji, you've been an icon for so many of us. And I'm, as rightly said by Dr. Singh, there are a lot of students here. And today they will take away a lot, both boys and girls studying with us will take a lot of intellect, lot of good thoughts after this discussion. So I'm really very, very honored that you are here. My many congratulations. Dr. Singh, thank you for putting the panel beautifully today. And I would just like to speak a few words about the kind of work that we are doing. As Dr. Singh mentioned, that we have about half of the students here at Amity are girls. But even at the workforce, I may myself say I'm a very proud member of the Amity organization, because our founder, Dr. Ashok Chauhan, our chairperson, Dr. Mrs. Amita Chauhan, our chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, they have a wonderful vision of having gender equality. And Dr. Singh, if I'm not mistaken, little bit more than half of the percentage of our workforce at Amity is also women, doing shoulder to shoulder, marching ahead, trying to create a nation where education plays an important role. So I'm very proud to be part of Amity. At the foundation which we run, we are doing a lot of work in our way for educating the underprivileged. Our chairperson, Dr. Mrs. Amita Chauhan, very ably runs schools, but she also runs a lot of schools for the underprivileged girl child, where I think a lot of education is missing. And she, in her very, very dynamic way, is trying to fill that gap. At the other aspect of the foundation is that we do a lot of skilling projects. So our skilling projects are purely focused on women. We have done a lot of skill projects in the past few years, and the project don't even stop at the training. We're trying our best to fulfill that these skilled women actually enter the economy. So we're trying to place, and very proudly may I say that almost 95% of the women who come for skill training are ably placed by us into the economy. So that is one aspect where we are trying to fill the gap, that how more women can enter the workforce. Now, all of us know that countries where women have been a part in a big number of the workforce reap the benefits, because frankly, half of the country is women. And if they are not working, then a country is losing its economic power. So we need to understand. And as Arundhati ji very rightly said, we see almost 50% women who enter the workforce. But if as they go up, if you look at the C-level executive, that number comes down drastically to about 14-15%. And Dr. Singh, I'm very happy the women that are here today at the panel are policy makers in their own manners. They are women with power. They have the power to make policies, as Arundhati ji said, which are more favorable for women in the workforce. So I do hope we have a very constructive decision, and together we can make a more inclusive, more empathetic, as the word was used, workforce or work environment. And I would rightly say that women at workplace has been chosen as the right topic, but how to create a better future for women in workplace would also be a discussion that we should have. So Dr. Singh, thank you very much. I want to quickly touch upon Ms. Sutapa Sanya. Thank you very much for being here. You have a breakthrough. I mean, very few women at the IPS segment, but you have been with at that time to be there is absolutely inspiring for so many of us. And I do hope a lot of the young girls look up to you and opt for IPS as a profession. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here. Dr. Tessie Thomas, thank you very much, ma'am. Diageo, of course, is very close to Amity. We do passionately work for science and research in the country. And I hope with your words today that more women and girls, especially in school and universities, come into STEM education, which is also an area that we need to understand how to get more women into science and research. So Dr. Thomas, thank you very much for being here today. Dr. Harpreet Singh, I know you have a tough task ahead with Air India, the new changes, and we can't be more proud that a woman of your stature is there, and we look forward to some wonderful session and some words from you. Thank you very much for being here. Ms. Shalini Pillai is also here. Dr. Singh, I cannot see her, but I think she's here. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here. I know KPMG, of course, being in finance field myself, and a lot of your research and work is published. And I really hope that we are able to foray more into research work on what women can do better at workplace. Thank you very much. Ms. Sonal Jindal, absolute pleasure to have such a young, dynamic, successful woman amongst us. Thank you very much, Sonal. We wish that we could hear more of you in this upcoming discussion. Dr. Singh, am I missing? I think Ms. Shweta is also here. Shweta is also here. Thank you so much for being here. And Dr. Singh, I look forward to a wonderful session. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, for those opening remarks. Over to you, MOC, for the award ceremony.
Gaurav, now I would request you to kindly share the screen. And the time has come, ladies and gentlemen, to confer Amity Corporate Excellence Award to an excellent, dynamic woman of India, none other than Arundhati Bhattacharya, ma'am. We are extremely proud to have you here today, and the insights that you have added, equal partnership and empathy. The right tone has been set for the session. And boys and girls, if you were listening, ma'am, I think the big takeaways that you have taken from her inspiration will build your life forever. Thank you so much, ma'am. Amity is proud to confer Amity Corporate Excellence Award to Miss Arundhati Bhattacharya, Chairperson and CEO Sales for India. And I would also like to thank Rishika and Ashwin sir for the entire logistics, for making ma'am be a part of this great session today. And thank you on behalf of the entire student and Amity family. We are glad with your presence, and we will steal your time someday to have great sessions with our students live in the campus. Thank you, ma'am.
And we were doing a small competition amongst the girls, and maybe we'll select 2 dynamic girls of our business school who will personally take your time and come and give you the citation. So that they also get inspired and maybe have a one-on-one with you.
Thank you. This is really an honor for me. I'm really and truly honored, especially from a entity like Amity University, which has so much of emphasis on gender equality. I'm absolutely delighted that you have more than 52% in your student population who are women, and similarly also in your workforce. Very difficult to achieve this diversity. Believe me, I'm fighting it every day in every institution that I'm in, but it's great that you all have achieved it. Thank you ever so much. I'm truly honored, and definitely, I will try and give you the time and speak to your students. It will be, for me, also a learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will kickstart now our panel discussion. As Dr. Kavita Thaplyal was mentioning, that this is based on the research which we have conducted amongst all the Amity universities, schools and institutions. And we have got hundreds of questions which we have classified in about 5-6 categories. So first question I would like to ask Ms. Sanyal to you. And you are an inspiration for many young girls. You have been an IPS officer, you know law, you know police, you have been inspiration for the society. We want to ask you, ma'am, that why is it so that females, they know that what the law is. They know that there is a police which can protect. They know that their parents can support. But still, they don't come out if they are harassed, whether at a workplace or in a school. They still don't complain. So why is it so? So having led the police force for so many years, and what is your message to the young girls and boys?
Dr. Singh, thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you, Amity, for having me on this August panel today. This is a question, it's a very deep question, and I have been asked this question so many times. What I feel is that there is a strong subculture of silence in our society. And to add to it, there is a subculture of victim blaming. So now what happens when a girl is harassed? And you are right. I mean, there have been studies where it is shown that 90% of the women and girls who are traveling in public transport, they are actually harassed. And this is not that chhedkhani which we talk of or eve teasing, right? Under the law, there is no word called eve teasing. It's actually sexual harassment. Because you belong to a certain, sex, because you're a girl, because you're a woman, there are so much of gender, discriminations, gender, stereotyping, etc. Coupled with this is the victim blaming thing and the culture of silence, right from the beginning. And it is a comment. It is a comment, and it is a commentary on the type of parenting actually which we are doing. Girls are always asked to adjust. अरे भाई ठीक है, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, एडजस्ट कर लो, चुप रहो, परिवार का सारा all the honor of the entire family rests on that slender shoulder of that girl. Why should it be so? Right? And I have also seen, now there's a disclaimer, every family is not like this, but an average, Indian family, they'll always ask the girl to adjust. That, kind of shrinks that girl's personality. Of course, there are changes. Of course, there are in number of enlightened families, but this is the trend. So, when you are asked to adjust all the time, your personality shrinks. And what a psychologist would say, we girls and women start getting that imposter syndrome. The second guess themselves, they always feel they are being shortchanged, and ultimately they keep asking themselves, am I good enough? Am I good enough for this? Am I good enough to go and complain? Are they going to ask me counter questions? And believe me, this has been something which I have noticed in the police also. The first response at a police station is, what did you do to invite whatever has happened to you? This is victim blaming. Now, if you start blaming the victim, why would she want to step out of the house and complain? So I think that answers a part of your question. And the second part is culture of silence. Chup raho beta, sab theek ho jayega. I'm reminded of that film, that highway film, presumably that last scene when Alia Bhatt asks a couple of questions. So that is it. And this is the narrative which each one of us needs to change. I hope I've been able to provide an answer to what you're asking. It's a very serious and very deep question.
Absolutely. I think that this is one question which disturbs every family.
Yeah.
As a parent, as a father, and whenever we sit together in the families, and as faculty also, when the complaints they come to us, it's sometimes very difficult to understand that why this girl was suffering and why she kept mum for so long. So I think that has to change, but we like to understand the deeper question, that why they don't come out. So I think that you have given your very good inputs, but we would like to go to now to Dr. Thomas. You have been a great scientist. You are Director General of DRDO. What is your view? Why is it so that young girls and boys, and even at work, there are many times we see that there's a harassment. For example, you will see if a female is working late, right, and then going back home, and a male is also working late, going back home. The society looks at a female which is coming late with a different eye, and the gentleman who's coming late with a different eye. So, what is your message, Dr. Thomas? What you feel that how we should address it, and how we should prepare youngsters that when they come into the profession, they should be able to see that the society treats everyone equally.
Yeah, this is something what our society is going through, and especially in our scientific organizations, we don't come across such parities or differences. But as a society, this is happening overall. We need to change the mindset, not only the girls, the boys from our home, also has to be learned or taught what are the ethics, so that our girls can become more confident. And that's the only way. The change has to come. The courage has to come from the women. Again, the nurturing has to happen at home for both a boy and a girl, so that how to behave in a society. That is what it matters. As far as the mindset is changed, then things will start changing.
And otherwise, it's society has lot many constraints, starting from the uh, continued influence of bias, uh, or the commitment. Everything makes us look at a girl as a weak uh, uh, partner in every activity. That is what has to change. So the change has to start from your own home, how we treat the girls and the boys. So imbibe confidence into the young ones. So they all will change their mind, and they all work, they all get support so that they become more strong. That's what I feel.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. We have Dr. Harpreet Dey Singh, and we know you as a very fine executive. I also know that you do a lot of meditation and a lot of activities you are doing for the society also. But Harpreet ji, I have a question for you. That why is it so that we treat boys and girls in our families very differently? And I have no shame in sharing a story. My sister was studying at St. Stephen's when we were young. We are sister and brothers, and she got a college color. So in Stephens, they have got a system that they give you college color, and she was getting a college color, and this was a ceremony. And she said that, and she was very happy, and she said that I'm getting a college color, and this is going to be a ceremony, and it's going to be the late in the evening. So my father, who was a government servant at a very respectable position, said, "What time?" She said, "I'll be coming quite late." She said, "No, you'll not go." And she said, "But why I'll not go?" He says, "If you will go, you take your brother along." Right? And she said that, "No, I'm not going to take my brother." And I was very young at that time. I was not able to understand that why she is saying that I'm not going to take you. And I said, "Didi, you, why don't you take me? If Papa is saying, you please take me along." Right? But she made it a point. She said that either I will not take this prize, or if I'll go alone. So she went alone. Right? And my father was furious. And he said that, well, uh, this is not right. And and now years after, now she stays in US. She's in San Francisco. She's an entrepreneur doing very well. But when we meet, we often talk that look, this was but we want to understand from you that why is it so that even amongst the educated class, when it comes to boys, it's different. When it comes to girls, because I remember that no one asked me any question. If I'm coming at 12:30, I'm studying in a library. I was in D school, so if I'm studying, I'm coming at 12:31. No one will ask a question. You will simply have to say I was preparing. So, what is your message to the parents, to the teachers, to the society, to the industry, and to the education, the people who are highly educated also, that they should treat boys and girls equally? And I know that you do a lot of work in this area.
Yeah. Now, can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. Good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Gurinder, for a very nice question, and all the distinguished panelists. I'm really blessed to be here. So I would say this is a very, very relevant question which you have asked. First thing is this identity that I'm man, I'm woman, I'm a boy, I'm a girl. We need to get out of this. In my view, everyone is God's beautiful creation. It's just a different presentation, right? To make this world, carry on, because you need to conceive, you need to have children. We have these beautiful manifestations. So firstly, my way of thinking is out of the box. You treat everyone as a pure soul. Okay. Once you start relating to people with that kind of purity in your eyes, you will not see them as man and woman. You see them as two beautiful creations of the Almighty with different dimensions, different strengths, different capabilities, and yet totally equal. right? So sometimes we also do it the other way around, like a boy shouldn't be in the kitchen and the boy shouldn't be showing love and care. A boy should not cry. I don't know why we have segmented ourselves into these kind of compartments. A woman can be a man. She has so much strength in those typical qualities of a man, has so much innate inner strength. She can take care of her entire family. We have thousands of examples where we have widows with 6 children. They have gone out and worked. We have so many women who have championed the cause and they have lived in all kinds of adversities. Similarly, there are men with a lot of sympathy, a lot of empathy. We as a society, we discourage it. We say, ye ladka na thoda sa weak sa hai, because he's showing empathy. Or a woman, she's acting like a man. I mean, what's wrong with her? Where is her empathy gone? So somewhere, in my view, if you really want a cultural shift, you need to recognize that they're all important qualities to have. You have to have the determination in the so-called manly, attributes, which a woman can also equally have, the determination, the zeal, the ambition to overcome all odds, to succeed in your career, to succeed at home, to succeed in your social work, to succeed in everything. It's all in the head. And when you said meditations, that's why I got involved with this passion, because I just realized people are so weak from within. Sometimes they just portray themselves as being very strong, which is a good facade at times, if I may use that word. But when it comes to inner strength, inner recognition of the true strength of that human being, they fall short of it, both man and woman. So you need to recognize everybody as a true equal. And when I talk about man and women here, I would even go one step further, whether it is your class, your religion, your faith, your economic status, whether it's a peon or it's a CEO. I mean, the moment you start looking at people equally, all these boundaries vanish. And even when they say, for a woman or a boy or a girl, I'll take my own personal example, since you shared a very personal example. I was blessed to be born in a family that treated boys and girls equally. When I decided to fly, there was so much of money that my father had to take a loan. I came from a middle-class family. And a lot of the friends and well-wishers would say, "Aap iska paisa aapko to nahi milega. It is going to go to the new person she will get married to. And why do you want to take such a big loan on your head and make her fly?" And my father just said a simple thing, because she wants to fly. And whether she gets married or not is her personal decision. That we will take care of it later. But I'm going ahead and taking this loan. So this shows a father who actually believed in equality. Secondly, I remember when we would fall while cycling. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. We would all go cycling. When we would fall, or ki chot lag gayi, he would himself say, get up. Unless it's something very serious, walk to that MI room, because my father was in the Air Force. So I grew up in a defense background. Go up to the MI room, get yourself bandaged, come back. I want my girls to be strong. And this is what conditions you. You learn to fight. You learn to be brave. You learn that you can stand up for yourself. When I started flying in Hisar, I was the only girl. And 13 kilometers I went on a moped through the jungles, just with faith in God, faith in myself, and chanting all the time, using the Guru's power. I said, nothing is going to happen to me. Unshakable faith, unshakable determination. That's what gets you far. But this also doesn't mean you will not have empathy, you will not have love, you will not have kindness for both men and women. Let's be fair to the men also. I'm sorry, I'm saying it the reverse way, because these days, I'm dealing with two segments of women. One is the real one that needs support. They really need support because their families don't support them. The society doesn't support them. And that's why I started these two logos, which you see at the back. One is a Women Empowerment Association, Indian Women Pilots Association, and International Women Professionals in Aviation and Aerospace, where we said every one woman has to bring 50 more, to overcome. And the other one is HARPS, Har Se Prem or Seva, which is basically to get that inner strength when there was COVID, where the other things we started. So I hope I'm not taking too much time. But what I'm just trying to say is, when you have to live by example, I have been blessed with both a son and a daughter. Both of them learned cooking together. Both of them went to karate class together. Both of them learned self-defense. Both of them learned the artistic side. Both of them sing. Both of them dance. It is when you stop these barriers that this is a girl's activity and this is a boy's activity, it begins from you. So if you want to change in society, ask yourself some tough questions. What can you do to make a difference? If everybody starts making that change, how many times do you lecture your son that you will treat the women with dignity and respect? How many times did you tick off the friends of your son when they passed some comments on a woman? And did you tell them that this is not the appropriate action? I mean, the way you tell the girl, you have to also tell the boy, is what I'm trying to say. So a lot of responsibility I would put on my own self. You be the change first. Society will change when you change. We can't expect others to change. You have to change first. Change your family, change your thought process. Everybody is equal. I have a man in me, but my husband also has a woman in him. And we both are good partners. And by the way, he does a lot of cooking at home. So I have good support. Thank you so much. I hope I'm not taking too much time, but I'm just saying that, you have to be clear. Empathy is naturally human and for both men and women. So let's not put ourselves in such kind of compartments. Let's think we are all equal.
Absolutely. I think very well said. Very good inputs. I think we have been joined by Ms. Shilpi Ajwani. So a very warm welcome to you. And we'd like to ask next question to you, Shilpi ji. We have seen that often when there is a harassment and a female complaints, either no action is taken, or if action is taken, then the entire organization also starts asking questions to that female also. So what is your message that if there is a harassment to a woman, as our earlier speakers were saying, that most of us, we give a message if she's complaining to a family, or if she is going to someone who is close, normally the reaction is that ignore it, and majority of the females ignore, right? So should you ignore, or how you should deal with such kind of harassment?
So good afternoon, and thank you for the invitation to speak today. So my name is Shilpa Ajwani, and I think this is a question that I have seen very up close and personal as well, panning out in the lives of so many women as well as men that I have known all these years as a corporate professional as well, and now as an entrepreneur too. So like everything else, I think our organizations are a microcosm of our overall society. So if our society has certain attitudes, we will see that organizations tend to mirror those attitudes as well. And organizations are also made of people who make up the society too. So I think we are a society in transition. I think we are workplaces in transition. I see that a lot of movement is happening in the right direction, and I am an optimist because I think it really starts with awareness that there is bias. There is a need for change. There is a need for people to stand up and say that this is not correct. And that is the reason why we have laws being framed which are protecting people who are getting harassed, right? But laws can only do as much. I think a large part comes from the way we look at both the person who has harassed someone and the person who has been harassed as well. And like it was said before, the whole idea of let's blame the victim because she would have invited or he would have invited something. I think when that starts to really change in our minds, and like Harpreet said, we all can create that change. It has to start with us. Kids cannot start to blame parents. Parents cannot start to blame children. If we all start taking responsibility for our own self and be good role models in every way, society will start to change. Society changes, that conditioning changes, our workplaces will look different. And that is where anybody who feels harassment will have the guts to stand out and say that this has happened to me and it is wrong, knowing that this will not go against the person. Right? I also say that having been a leader in a workplace, having been a CEO, having led organizations, I know that leaders have a big task of creating psychological safety at the workplace. If people feel psychologically safe, they will have the guts to firstly come up and complain, because then they will not take things lying down. It has to start with that. And when they know that there is leadership who will stand up for them, and there will be fairness in the way the inquiry will be conducted, and there will be a punishment meted out to someone who has harassed, I think we need to stand up for people as leaders. We need to stand up for people as colleagues. And here, again, it's not a man-woman thing, because this happens all across. Right? It's just that we are becoming more aware about this as a society, and I'm glad we are. But again, there is the need for every participant not to keep quiet. And sometimes the person who is being harassed feels shy. But I have seen their colleagues who have the guts to call it out. They are the ones who approach HR. They are the ones who approach the leadership. And they say it is wrong. And if it's a woman getting harassed, I've seen male colleagues standing up and saying this is not going to happen in our organization and putting pressure. So when we start to see those kind of things happening, and those don't remain the exception, then I would say we have started to win. So I would put a lot of onus on the person themselves. Stand out. It's not the end of the world. Even if you don't keep that job, it's not worth living with less dignity than you have a right to. Right? And certainly leadership at workplaces, they need to provide that psychological safety so people can come to work feeling secure, and they can be themselves even on a normal day without harassment. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. I think the great inputs. We had circulated a questionnaire, and one of the observations which we have got from the questionnaire is about the sacrifices. I will request Dr. Kavita Thaplial, who was compiling this questionnaire, to also give her inputs and maybe ask a question. But one of the observation was that when it comes to sacrificing, it is always a female who sacrifices in a family. So why is it so that always female has to sacrifice? If it's a profession, she will take a back seat. If it is something which he has to offer, let's say that taking care of the kids, then the female is going to sacrifice. And Dr. Kavita, if you have got any observations, maybe that you can add. But we will request Ms. Shalini Pillai to maybe address this question, that when it comes to sacrificing, why is it so that only female has to sacrifice? And then Dr. Kavita has few more observations on the same topic. She is going to add her observations also.
Am I audible, Dr. Singh?
Yes,
Yes, you are.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone, and a big thank you to Amity for having me here. It's a privilege and an honor to share the forum with some really accomplished women leaders, each in their own fields. And it's been a very interesting conversation. I love how everyone's sharing some personal examples, because going back to what some of the other speakers already reiterated, I think a lot of this has to do with upbringing. A lot of it has to do with strong cultural influences and what we all see and experience, especially so in the Indian ecosystem, if I may say that. To your point and your question, Dr. Singh, it's an interesting one as to this whole element of sacrificing, and I think each of us may be able to relate to it in some ways. But again, I would hate to generalize, because a lot of it does have to do with how we've grown up and what kind of upbringing we've experienced. To give an example, and if I was to speak for myself, I'm the older of two daughters. and in some ways was brought up by my parents as almost to be the son of the house. Being the elder one, my father was a businessman. It was assumed that I would kind of follow his steps and take that on. Went on to do my engineering and have always been, in my mind, first of all, never differentiated. To me, being a woman, I never felt myself less than anyone else and always believed I was equal. Like I said, even though being in the minority, whether it was in engineering college days way back then, or if I look at the corporate world today, where unfortunately one is still in the minority. While we've come a long way, I think we have a long way to go ahead. But speaking back to the upbringing, I think it has a lot to do with that. And to your question, since you are asking about sacrifices, I do believe that women in the Indian ecosystem and the Indian culture definitely are brought up with a wider set of responsibilities, so to speak. Being a mother, and of course, in today's environment, I think men and women share that responsibility quite well, equally, in many cases, though it's not always the case. But whether it is putting the dinner on the table, whether it is the upbringing of the children, there perhaps is a slightly skewed responsibility towards the woman of the house. And I think that has to do with where this concept of sacrificing comes up. And again, like I said, and I repeat, at the risk of repeating myself, I'd hate to generalize, but there definitely is an element of that which plays out in a big way. And it is that upbringing where you see and you are taught, and you've seen it at an early age, where the mother, kind of puts herself after everyone else. You're putting food on the table, you want to make sure it's enough for everyone else before you help yourself. If it is also careers, and again, at a generic level, because men may have had more, the responsibility of being the bread earners for the family. In the past, one may have hence seen them take a different role, whereas the woman naturally then takes a back seat. But I do believe that these are stereotypes. I do believe that while for a large part of India, you may still see this exist in many pockets, it is changing. So I'd hate to kind of talk of it in today's environment. I think today we've come a long way. Today there is a shared sense of responsibilities, accomplishments, and just look at this panel and you look at the accomplishments of women over here across various fields. I don't think there is a field where today you don't see women making the mark and really breaking the glass ceiling, so to speak. So I think while that may have been more in the past, and while it still may be predominant in maybe lower tiers of society, in the more working classes, in the more blue collar classes, in perhaps tier 2 and tier 3 cities, it is changing. So I think as we look to that question, one must really, and it's important to reflect on that element of upbringing, like we've heard the other speakers speak, and something that I would say young students need to be conscious of. If you see some of those trends, if you see some of that setting in, it is up to each one of us to change that. I don't think this concept of sacrifice, firstly, the term sounds out of place in today's environment when we're talking of women in the workplace. But the reason I'm alluding to this is it's deep rooted in what you see and observe as you've been growing up. And that definitely then begins to creep into the workplace. Even today, and I sadly would admit that when you look at opportunities as they get dished out in organizations, quite often you will see men being more vocal, raising their hands first to take on the opportunity, whereas women will step back, and unless asked, not everyone raises their hand. Again, a generic comment, and I don't want to paint this with one brush, but one does see that. So it is very deep rooted to elements of upbringing. How does one change that? How do you make sure that it is a truly a level playing field where opportunities are available for everyone? And then there is no question of no scope or no place for a word like sacrifice, I think, especially in the working environment. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Dr. Singh. It's, like I said, culturally deep-rooted, but I'm hoping it's a thing of the past, and I'm hoping you will not see it creep into the workplace. There are still elements of it, because you can't change something that is deep-rooted overnight. but it definitely changes. It's the onus on corporations, on organizations, on institutions such as yours. And I, again, kudos to what you all have accomplished on your diversity ratios, and to all the youngsters listening in. I think each one of us can make that difference to ensure we're part of what is a level playing ecosystem. So I'll stop with that,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Singh.
Yeah, thank you,
Hope I've
Shalini.
answered.
Yeah, thank you, Shalini. I think I agree. And I think mothers are the first teachers. So I completely agree with some of the things that the panel have said, that as mothers, we also need to come up and give that message. But Sonal, I think it's difficult to become an entrepreneur for any person. And but I see more and more girls coming in and becoming entrepreneurs, and I find that very exciting. I personally think that women make better managers, better leaders. After all, that is the reason why our houses are so well managed, and we've seen that in the business world. Management starts from home, and I think it's excellent the way that women are coming forward. But entrepreneurship per se is very difficult. You've broken that, and this. So please give some insights, especially to our young students here.
Okay, so for the longest, I was a housewife, and at age 35, I thought that what I have done to my life, I am a well educated person. I pursued MBA to pursue my dream to become an entrepreneur, and here I am, mother of two beautiful children, which I am really proud of. So I think Mr. Singh mentioned earlier, and somebody mentioned earlier from the faculty, that they have seen women studying from the colleges, but then where do they go? Because our society is structured in a way where parents choose to settle them, like Harpreet, the father was asked that you're going to spend money on her education or her flying, and somebody else is going to reap the benefits of her salary, right? So I think today's parents and the generation of Sanyal ji and Arundhati ji, they have changed the trend. Their children are self-sufficient people, and they're choosing profession over marriage, because marriage is a choice and profession is something else. So to answer to your question, that entrepreneurship is not a easy thing, because it is not something where I am joining an organization. Here I'm building an organization. To build an organization from scratch takes a lot of time. And today, when I started my journey, it was unstructured and not a planned organization. But today I'm working in a global trade. I would like to answer Pooja ji, that she asked, what do I do? So I run a sourcing company, and I work in an international global trade, where I'm working in the field of pharmaceutical, mines, apparels, handloom, and fashion has been my forte. And I have traveled across the world. I have met a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of women who have broken the ceiling. And it has not been easy for all of us, even I would say, even a woman going out to teach in a school, it's not easy for her. But to start an entrepreneurial journey in a country like India is very difficult, because there is a stereotype mindset which our society has, where a role of a woman is to nurture a family, and is to be a good wife, good daughter, good mother. And when I started my entrepreneurial journey, nothing serious was expected from me. So I chose to start my entrepreneurial journey with fashion, which is, there are certain professions which our country is adapted to. For example, if there is an actress, she's been respected more than an entrepreneur. And it was very difficult for me to understand that how she is been accepted by the society, and how I would like to believe that women have, they have shoulders and they have brains above their shoulders. They can walk in the heels and they can use their brains equally. So the most and the toughest part was that how can she be an intelligent person? So my intelligence was questioned. not only in India, trust me, all across, my intelligence was questioned. So, in my entrepreneurial journey, I think the intelligence part was the difficult part. The most difficult thing which I had to actually accomplish, where I had to actually, come up with different ideas that I am not only a fashion person, I can do different kind of businesses as well. So in today I am also in digital space, I'm also in pharmaceutical space, I'm working with UN women also, and I'm working with the World Trade Organization also. So when I used to go and travel to different part of the world, people used to come and used to ask, are you Indian? It is unbelievable that how an Indian can come out of her house and be at the world platform and working in an international arena. So I think it is more of a stereotype mindset, not only in India, all over the world. So that's the most difficult part.
Thank you. There is a lot of, I think, debate on whether flexibility is given in workplaces. So Dr. I mean, your job as an IPS officer, I'm sure flexibility was something which was not always a possibility or a choice. But do you feel that women need to be given more flexibility? Does that empower them? I personally think that everybody needs some flexibility. What is your view on that?
Yeah, I guess so. I would agree with you because, at different stages of our lives, we have different priorities. But as long as you are delivering what you're expected to do, I think flexibility gives in that extra, space to express yourself, to do your things better, right? So I think, yes, it should be there. But of course, like in a profession like mine, if you are in the law and order segment, then there's no such thing as flexibility. You are supposed to respond to whatever situation arises, and nobody knows what situation is going to arise when. So in that type of a situation, I don't think flexibility is an issue. But then we, in the police also, we have these side postings, right? Where you can very well manage between 10 to 5. And at the end of the day, see, you can sit in the office, right from 9:30 till 8 o'clock in the night and not do a single thing. So it's basically your time management, how you do it. So I think flexibility should be allowed. And now, post-pandemic, things are going to change even more. This work from home is a kind of flexibility that we are allowing. So I think, yes. But then I would also like to stress that it's very important about, if you are a leader, you must be a leader with compassion, because what I feel is during this post-pandemic and this, new normal, everybody is nursing some hurt. Everybody is trying to heal. Most of us have lost our near and dear ones. Most of us have been ill ourselves. So it's been something which has never happened, not even to my generation, what to talk of the generation after me. So I think, we need leaders with compassion in their hearts, and flexibility can be a component of showing that compassion. And if we are the leaders ourselves, then I think we also need to be compassionate to people who we are working with. So yes, flexibility can be one good way of empowering people and incentivizing them to give their optimal best. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sutapa ma'am. And I think there is a question that I would like to ask from Sonal. Sonal, there are many young girls sitting across and listening you. And after passing the business schools, many of them would also be planning to go with the same pace as you have gone in your life, right? You said you have two lovely kids. What was the kickstart and who gave you that insight to, after balancing your first half of journey and then moving to entrepreneurship? Who was your inspiration? Though it was a tough decision to move up, there were huge challenges, but who was inspiring you at that time? And what is your message to such young minds who are also at the VUCA stage of mind at present?
Kavita ji, as I think Harpreet mentioned, it's about soul and it's about soul journey. So I think what motivated me was myself, because I studied to become an entrepreneur, and then because of the society norms, and I choose to be a housewife. Uh, I was feeling hollow, that what I have done with my life, though I was enjoying my life, though the segment of society I come from was all about partying. So that is an enjoyment. But I could feel that I can be a contribution to the economic growth of this country. I can do better. If I can work in this country, I can work in the global marketplace also. Though I had a older skill set, I learned newer skill sets. I just finished my diploma from Columbia University and MIT University in digital business. So it was more of myself, that you have to have ambitions. You need to have aims. So in our society, a boy has aims. So I have a son who is 18 years old and I have a daughter who is 10 years old. So I can see the difference between my teenage years and uh, my son, the way he's growing up. At 15, he's asking me, can I start business? And at 15, I was busy choosing my lipsticks and nail paints. So that is how you have been nurtured in your childhood. So the nurturing in the household has to be changed. The foundation has to be changed. So I am nurturing my daughter to think on a level where she has to choose her profession. The other day, I was asking, some guests were coming home, and I said, can they come home? She said, if it would have been my home or house, if I could have afforded, since I am not earning, this is your house, you can give them permission. But if when I'll be earning, that permission won't be given to them. So the mindset, a mother has to, nurture the child in a way that they have to have ambition. So my mother, I think somewhere my mother played a major role in nurturing me to become a working woman, because her passion was to open a school, and where she couldn't open a school, and she kept saying all those years that if I have opened a school, I would have done that, I would have done that. When I lost her, and I was at her age and stage, I felt that what she was saying was right. You know that this is my soul journey, where I have to actually live my dreams. My dreams cannot be the dreams which the society has made, the generic dreams. So it has to come from within. If you are choosing to enter into an MBA course, you have to have an aim and ambition, that after this, I'm going to join this company, this organization, or become the CEO, or become an entrepreneur. So I think it's a self-driven thing, more of a self-drive. Yeah.
Right.
Dr.
Thank
Seema,
you.
next question from you.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like to address my question to Ms. Sutapa Sanyal. And I would like to ask that how much support did you get from your male colleagues while pursuing your career? And did you face any difficulties in that?
Oh, they'll kill me for it if they are listening in somewhere.
Dr. Seema shares a common family, Sudapaji, so she's talking from the other side.
So, see, you get all kinds of people, right? When you're entering service, or when you're joining an organization, or you're going for a training. So yes, there were some colleagues who supported me, and there were some who made fun of me, because obviously, see, I came from a typical middle class Bengali family, which had lived in Bihar, right? So and studied in a convent school. So you get all those inputs, all those variables, which is not very conducive to, a very dynamic and very visible life. But then here I was, look at the irony. Here I was amidst 77 other male colleagues. I was the only female in my batch, 1984 batch. So obviously, and coming from that type of a background, I really couldn't match up to their physical prowess. So that was one point where they used to feel that, look, I was a butt of ridicule many times. But then again, as some of the speakers have said, see, all of us are actually on a soul journey. And we have to understand what our blueprint of life is. So at some point of time, it came to me that, okay, I may not be as good as they are in XYZ, but I am good in certain things, even better in certain things, like, say, I was really good in yoga. I was really good in forensic sciences. I was really okay in the law segment. So I said, why not, while I build up upon the physical activity side, why should I not kind of realize my optimal self in the things which I could do well? So at some point of time in life, see, we are brought up always to look outside for appreciation. What we should learn is everything is inside us. That blueprint I'm talking of, I'll go a step ahead to what Sonal and what Dr. Harpreet Singh has said. I feel we are all in a contract with the universe. And it's a very, very unique contract. My contract is not your contract with the universe. And therefore, we have these different soul journeys. And I think it's very, very important to make this point as the starting point of everything. Unfortunately, these things come later on in life. So, we should have more of such discussions, because we feel, and, I was in a profession where if you appeared very happy and very, smiling, it was taken as a negative trait. It was taken as if you were not up to it. And as a woman, so many times, and I think many of us would agree, we have to work doubly hard to prove ourselves. It's very, very unfortunate, but that is the truth, and it is still the truth. You can ask n number of women and they'll say that. Right. So yes, I have had male colleagues who have supported me. I have trained as, like, we are posted as assistant superintendent of police. That's our first posting in the district, right? So I have had a brilliant officer as my mentor. He was a man. So you get to meet all kinds of people, but you have to understand that ultimately it is you. And so it's best to be you, your authentic self, than trying to import somebody else's dreams and trying to live up to those goals and dreams, because you live your dream the best. So that's something which I wish the youngsters, understand early on in life. Because many a times you would have also seen, I've seen so many young, bright minds, they go in for IIT. And then they take a 180-degree turn and then go in for MBA, because initially they're trying to live their parents' dreams. I mean, that's what that entire film 3 Idiots was about.
Right.
You have to live your own dream. You have to dream your own dreams, because it's the easiest thing to live up to.
Right.
So yeah, I had a mix of people, but then yes, you adjust as you go along.
So Tapaji, I'll take that point forward to Dr. Thomas. And as I mentioned, I also started off as being an engineer and went on to management. So I am a victim of the statement that you made, but I'm enjoying every moment of it. I have now been education. That is also a very powerful field. But Dr. Thomas, because STEM is an education, and specifically we see a lot of girls who might become excellent in science and technology, and however, they don't end up choosing it for some reason, because of maybe something. And obviously you had a passion and you took it up so well. And I feel girls make excellent engineers and excellent logical things. So what is it that took you on this path, maybe in the youngsters, and as so many mothers and young girls watching, we can encourage our girls and to take up the same path?
Yeah, it's a field where a lot of dedication or the passion for the science and engineering is like science and mathematics is very much required, because we have to work with technologies maybe for the first time, first of its kind development. So we need to have the passion to learn and get that acquired knowledge. When I speak about the defense side, it's always something new. And we have to work with a lot of perseverance. In a day, we'll not find the solution to what we are working for. And it's a long period of work. To get the things done, you need to be perseverant. And of course, women are always creative and critical thinking capability is always there. And being a scientist or from the scientific engineering field, one has to work to get the solutions. So that is what is required. Basically, the passion and the dedication to work in this field. So if that is there and you are ready to learn, and for a scientist, every time period is a learning curve. So we learn and then try to implement that into actions. So that is way one has to be self-determined to take up the job. Like as Sonal said, she wanted to be a person to show that she can do things in the world differently. So that is the way one has to take up. And I'm sure each one of the leaders present here, they have proven their worth in their own field. So it's amazing to hear about Supita Sanyal. She was only one woman among the whole set of students. So it makes the difference how strong you have to build yourself or how you have to reshape yourself to come up to everybody's performance level. That happens even here with the scientific field also. You have to have the technical knowledge, learn, and of course we have to have the emotional quotient also to deal with the surrounding, the scientists, the environment in which we are working. We have to have the mind to face the challenges because we may not succeed in the first attempt. Working for years together, the missions can fail. So you have to bring it back. So that is where one has to be finally self-reliant in terms of knowledge as well as in terms of working with a team. That's the way one has to take. And any field is difficult as it is, but scientific field, everybody feels. But I feel once you learn it, it is just a question of knowing and not knowing. So it's equally simple enough to learn science. That's what I feel.
Thank you, ma'am. And at Amity, we have a culture to give respect to everybody. I have Colonel Khattar here, who has also contributed immensely to this women's session. So it will not be a justice if I do not give an opportunity to you equally, because you also listen to all of us and mostly the women of our campus. And I believe that your yoga keeps you calm and composed when we come to have our statements to you. To you, sir, and Seema ma'am, you have really set a great tone for this entire thing. Your hard work behind it and Ashwin sir's support for this session is incredible. So over to you, Khattar sir. One question from your side.
Yeah, surely, ma'am. Dr. Kavita, thank you so much. And I think so. It has been so wonderful listening to such an august gathering. So I'm just wondering, from the like all this discussion, slightly from the male's perspective, luckily, I think so a lot of stringent laws has been made, in the past, like we have been speaking about harassment and all. Laws, I think so, are in place. But there have been cases where I think so these laws have been used to undue advantage, right? Maybe from the ladies' perspective, it could be to get back at any colleague of theirs or any seniors or juniors, right? Or it could be, maybe at shortcut at their workplace. So, firstly, I just like ourselves, like in our careers also, like I have been across 4 professions. We have heard, like if I may say in Hindi, chodo kya karna hai, why get into this, there's a lady involved in this. So, firstly, is it an issue, number one? And I'm sure we have people from very senior positions. So, have you ever faced such a scenario? And how to best avoid such a scenario in times to come? So, I would request anyone could take on that from various perspectives. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to respond to your question. Like, see, as I said, you have all types of people. So there are women also who take undue advantage of being women, right? Not just what you're talking of, it actually relates to the POSH laws, right? Prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. There is a similar argument about 498A IPC, the dowry related section in the Indian Penal Code. So now what I would say is every woman has to understand, number one, that her action or whatever she's saying or whatever she's giving in writing against a male colleague, etc., she also has a brother, she also has a son, she also may have a husband, she has a father, right? So it can adversely impact that person's entire life. In fact, in Noida, in the, I think, Genpact case, you must be aware, there was a case of suicide. What happened with that later on followed, I didn't follow that case. But the reason given was that he was falsely implicated. And so he committed suicide, right? Second thing is, so one has to be very responsible. If I have a right, I also have a duty. It's just the other side of the coin, right? Second is, in the law itself, there are inbuilt provisions, like in the POSH Act, the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, there is a provision for false complaints. And everybody should know about it. All the males, all the females, they should know about it. That if you are making a false complaint and the ICC, which is the Internal Complaints Committee, which actually looks into these harassment cases, sexual harassment complaints, if it finds out that you made a false complaint, that the female has made a false complaint, then the punishments are the same as it would be for a man who is committing sexual harassment. So these things are issues of knowledge. These things are issues of ultimately what your work ethics is, what your personal ethics is. But there are provisions, right? Even in the CRPC, there's a provision that if somebody is making false complaints, he or she can be pulled up, right, under the law. So knowledge of the law, and then personal ethics. If personal ethics goes out of the window, then a person can do anything, right? So for that, I keep, whenever I address men and women, I also tell the women that if you have this weapon, it's like a Brahmastra. Don't use it just like that, because it's going to harm you also, as well as the man against whom you are falsely using. So those things, these are self-discipline issues also, but the law has provision for this.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Dr. Kavita, another, just a very small question, if I may permit it.
Yeah, please, quickly.
Yeah. Ma'am, I think so. We had to references like speakers speaking out how their parents treated them equally. But I just want to ask whether, as individuals, which includes the families, does society also think in a similar manner? So your parents may be thinking that way, like, yeah, I think so, more or less in a like middle class, upper middle class. So does society is also supporting your thinking process if they act as a society?
I would like to answer that question. I think I briefly said in the earlier question that society is stereotype and they don't support women workforce. When a woman comes out to work, she has to prove her mettle. So she has to definitely, be it any profession, she has to prove her mettle. So yes, definitely society is changing. So I'm working with UN Women. And I was attending one of the sessions, and we had a similar discussion over there. They said it is going to take about 99 years to change that perspective. 99 years. And 99 years is a huge, huge, huge time. So I said, what is the change? They said, the change is that at least people are talking about these issues. So a forum like Amity right now today, at least we are talking about these issues. earlier this used to be the taboo in the society, and society never used to support women working and being outside their houses. So at least we are right now a progressive society. Right now, this panel is about progression, and right now, this panel is a society where we are supporting women and students, Amity girl students, to progress in life, go out and choose profession. So I think now the mindset is changing and shifting. So even if we are talking, that is a good change.
Thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Pooja ma'am to kindly give her the end remarks. And you have been an inspiration to all of us. And you have really made all of us proud by your presence all the time. And the guidance you provide us is an inspiration to all of us here in Amity. Your concluding remarks, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita. Thank you so much. I think, as rightly, Sonal, you mentioned that it's a very pertinent question. We have to understand what the future holds for women, especially in India, at the workplace. And I think dialogues like such, platforms like these, are a way of understanding what problems. See, we may be restricted to our professions. So it's a great way to understand what other workplaces are offering, or what are the problems that women are facing in other workplaces. So I think this has been a very, very important discussion that all of us have had. And I do hope that, all the very, very respected women that we have, each proficient in their own fields, are all women of power. And I do hope from here today we take that, what are the important policies that we can make or support in some way that more women come forward. The gap is closed and we have more women workforce entering our economy. So I think it's been important. I think, Dr. Singh, I would just like to let's sum up the whole debate and discussion with one positive thing, and maybe Bhavna, you can moderate 1 minute each, and how our very important panelists could see how they see the future of women. What is it that they see, and what is one important thing according to them which is needed now today, especially in India. So one last word from each one of you. The future of women in our workplace, and one important thing that you would like to see as a change.
So we can start with Sonal. I personally think that the future is very bright. I am very positive. I'm the younger of two sisters, and very proud. My mother was three sisters. I think the world is a beautiful place for women, and we have to continue to make it a beautiful place for all our children. We try to do that with each one of our students who's like a child for us as teachers. But Sonal, we'll start with you.
Since you have started with the positive feedback, I would like to start with the negative feedback. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without a positive, there's no negative, and without a negative, there's no positive.
Yes. So, like Ms. Sanyal earlier said, that we have imposter syndrome. Yes, I can see that imposter syndrome in many industries and many corporates, because women are very reluctant at sharing their ideas in group discussions at workplace. And when they have talent, and when they are being actually told that they are high achievers, women at times are, they like to shrug it off the praise and lower their own abilities. So that is something I think the imposter syndrome has to be taken care, and that can only change with the value system which has to be inculcated through family upbringing, and the gap has to be filled by the family and the society.
Thank you, Sonal. But I think that every woman makes an impact. I still believe in that. There's an impact which is made by every woman. I mean, look at Lataji, who left such an impact with her voice. But there are so many people who have left their impact with the people that they have raised in families. Sudhapaji, you next.
Well, I am a diehard optimist, so I will always have a very good, interpolation of the future. But there are two things which need to be done. One, on the part of the women themselves, like Sonal said, and yes, going back to that imposter syndrome, we need to get rid of it. And the first thing we should do to get rid of it is stop self-rejecting. We just reject ourselves. Why? The whole world is there to reject you. Why do you self-reject? So number one, don't do that. Second, speak up. If you feel something is wrong, you have to speak up. Otherwise, the narrative will never change. You have to challenge the status quo. So this is because, a woman has to understand her value, and that confidence, that self-confidence has to be there. And it can be shown in these two ways. So far as the organization or the society, etc., at large are concerned, they have a lot of unconscious biases, all these implicit biases. And I think there should be proper training in organizations, because I do a lot of these unconscious bias trainings, and I understand, like, for example, there is a meeting going on, and these are true examples. It is not in the realm of academics which I am talking of. There will be a female, supposing she gives a suggestion, right? Nobody just responds. Half an hour later, if a man gives the same suggestion, there's so much of, brotherhood and brohood. Yes, such a good thing. So we also need to build our sisterhood. And these unconscious biases have to be taught in every organization. It is so visible when women are being recruited. I have a colleague, I have many friends who said, and they were working in the corporate sector. In fact, one of them left because of this. She said that when I went in responding to an ad, the recruiting manager, the HR guy, asks her, "Oh, you are of this age. Shortly, you are going to get married and you are going to get children. Are you going to leave?" Why these biases? So these biases need to be removed. And the good thing about biases is that you can, retrain. You can unlearn them. So on the part of society and organization, unlearning the biases, and on the part of the woman, realizing her own strength. So these are the two things.
Dr. Chavi, you want to say something before I ask Dr. Harpreet?
Thank you, ma'am. Women work at workplaces and their house, taking care of their families. Do we see something in future which will allow flexibility in work hours?
Amity is already giving flexibility. I can vouch for my own organization, definitely. But maybe if any of the other panelists want to take up some comment on that. I think Sutapaji also mentioned that, yes, flexibility was important already. Dr. Thomas, some one-line summary about the future of women in workplace and in general?
Yeah. What I feel the most important factor is diversity and inclusion at workplace. Like as Madam said about the unconscious bias that exists in our environment, because women doesn't feel secure and free to work because of this. They're scared even to tell what they want to do also. So this unconscious bias in the minds of superiors has to change. And so we need to educate the managers to take up workforce policies which can create inclusive workspace and have open communication channel to get the feedbacks, and women can progress. And as far as an individual quality, what we need is that women need to increase one's own personal capability or capacity for leadership roles, and should learn to achieve these leadership qualities. As everybody knows that leadership qualities are all win. And basic thing is to have the self-confidence and need to have everything surrounding the self, that self-motivation, self-empathy, self-esteem, self-decision making capability, and the interpersonal awareness. This is what one thing which we can, which makes a difference from individual to individual. If we take up that, I think we need to have the growing mindset that things can happen good for us, and a desire to learn, accept the challenges as it comes, and persist and perform, even with criticism coming on your way. Then only you can be inspired and encouraged, or you yourself can motivate, and that is how one can succeed. That's what I feel.
Absolutely, Dr. Thomas. I wish I could rewind the clock back, continue with my engineering. Maybe I could also contribute in DRDO. But I'm sure the listening girls, one of them also will become a missile woman of another missile woman of our country. Shilpa, your closing remarks.
So I would really say AAA is what I look at and I hope for. The first is really acceptance that there is bias today. We are not living in an equal world and there is room for improvement. And I think increasingly I see that acceptance happening, which leads to the other A, which means awareness. And once you accept something, there's awareness that there's a need for change. And that the best weapon, and Amity is really leading that, is education. I think education is a great tool in creating that awareness, which also leads to increasing opportunities. When I am empowered with education, I can get access to more and more opportunities. I get acceptance, which I think will increase women in the pipeline. In any case, India has the highest number of graduate women in the world compared to any other country. We just need to make sure that they get to match their abilities with the profession of their choice. And that leads me to the third A, which is action, where conversations like these are important, where we need to call it out whenever we see that bias or us, letting our conditioning get into our way, and action together without looking at genders or, gendered biases in the way we show up, whether it is at workplaces or in society, but collectively work so that we all can live a better life. If the pandemic has taught us one thing, is that life is precious and quality of life is even more precious. So I think one gender without the other, or creating a sense of belonging for everybody together, will not let us individually enjoy the fruits of what we are here for. So an equitable world helps everybody. So that's what I would say, the 3 A's, acceptance, awareness, and then action.
Very beautiful thought and good insight from the session. Shalini, if you're still there, we understand that you had to leave, but I still see you on the camera. Yes, if you could just give a 1 minute insight.
Thank you, and my apologies. I just was hanging on to say 2 last bits before I drop off. Firstly, I just wanted to highlight that in this hybrid virtual world that we're living in, I believe technology has become a huge equalizer, and there are so many more opportunities for women to actually get into the workforce and play a key role. So the hybrid virtual model is here to stay, and I would just nudge women to actually make sure that they make the most of the opportunity it provides, to be agile, to make sure that one stays absolutely relevant in terms of skills, and to grab every opportunity that comes their way. Because I think the future is really bright. What COVID has brought with it is quite a silver lining, which it's important for us to be aware of and make the most of it. So that's all I had to say, and a big thank you again for the opportunity. Do excuse me, I will need to drop off, but thank you so much.
Thank you for joining, Shalini. We'll come in person with your citation and award with some students to take more insights. Absolutely. Dr. Harpreet.
Yes. So I would just like to summarize at 3 levels. First is your individual self. And I think I already covered that to some extent in my earlier communication. Unless you think you can do it, you'll not be able to do it. Boy or girl, man or woman, the plane or the aircraft that we fly doesn't know it's a girl or a boy, right? The chair that you sit on doesn't know it is the CEO, is a woman or a man. So when you start looking out of the box and you start identifying yourself with other achievers and even looking far beyond, you will be able to do it. This is all in the head. So that's why I would also encourage you to meditate, to get your inner strength back, because the change has to come from within. That is first level, individual. Second level is society. Many of us are living in societies, right? How many of us women actually go down and participate in that society management? Ask yourself this question. Many times we just talk about ourselves, just us. You know, it's a time to give back. It is a time to be influencers. First you change yourself and be the influencer for change. I remember when I was asked in my society, and by the way, I'm living in Mumbai, working out of Delhi, traveling all the time, and yet I said, okay, I'll do it. I took out the time because you are an influencer. You work in the society, you change thought processes. They look at women changing the society. They look at beautiful ideas coming, they start accepting the women. And you know, there are more and more women. You need to be participative and coming out of those silos, you know, that mera kaam sirf ghar mein hai ya job mein hai. There is so much more you can do and be the influencer of change. At an organizational level, if you have done very well professionally, if you sitting in that chair cannot empower more women, then you have failed in your duty for women empowerment. You should ask yourself this question. If I, in a leadership role, cannot influence change, then who else will? I mean, as a leader, you have to bring in that change. And how are you going to bring in that change? Number one is communication, interaction, joint sessions, encouragement to those women. I heard the previous speaker say that, you know, they have a lot of ideas, but they don't speak up, they're shy. You can be the one who pushes them up. You know, you could be the one who's bringing those women up and making sure that they're not shy. And by the way, I've also faced a lot of shy men whom I've also brought up, right? So it's not only the women who are shy, and, you know, that's another, I think it's a stereotype again. There are all kinds of people, but you have to bring them up. That's important. Give back to society. Somebody mentioned that when we started with this much percentage of women, etc. I don't know how many of you are aware. Because we started this IWPA, this Indian Women Pilots Association, which is a charitable trust, we went door to door mentoring the families and the women who really wanted to get into a technical line, but either they didn't have the money, they didn't know how to go about it. And today, we have 15% women who are pilots in the airline, which is the highest in the globe, which means we made a difference. That's hooray for us. You could be that influencer. Like, you know, how come the second highest in the entire world is only 5%? We are 3 times higher, which means I feel we have not given much thought to how to give back to society. I mean, many times it's me and my profession. Once you reach the scale of ladder, you have to bring other women up. Unless you do that, you're not giving back to society. You have to be the society enabler. And as an organization, yes, you encourage IQ. I've said this before, intelligence quotient. EQ is equally important, where you walk the talk, you lead the team, you communicate, but do not forget PSQ, pure soul quotient. If you don't do with good intention, with good vision, with actually wanting to help everyone genuinely, not for showing off, not for just getting a recognition, genuinely, and people are not fools, they can see that spirit within you. When you do things from the heart, you'll do it with purity. So I would recommend leadership with purity. And that's when the vision will change. And I'm also an optimist. Things will change. If you believe the change will happen, it will. The moment you think and start doubting, it's not going to happen. You've already defeated yourself. You have to believe that it will happen. It will change. The world is a good place. We can make it a better place. But we have to learn to give back to society and get out of this little silo of I have achieved and now my job is ended. Please give it back. That's what I would request both boys and girls. Thank you so much.
We could not have summarized on a more positive note, and I share that optimism, Dr. Harpreet, and all the panelist members. I completely agree. A lot of soul searching, not only by women alone, by everybody, and looking at what the society has seen with the COVID pandemic. I think every one of us needs to be very calm, very serene inside, find what we are capable of, which is immense potential, and there is so much to give. Pooja ma'am, any last word before I take your permission for the words?
No, I think, Bhavna, it's been a great learning, and, couldn't be better summarized. So I totally support, and I really like words from each speaker. Influencer, RPG is a wonderful word. And I hope that all of us become influencers. We mentor more women, we support them. And as Sutapaji said, more womenhood, that how we support each other to climb up the ladder. So my congratulations, Dr. Singh. A beautiful summation of a wonderful event. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you. And thank you so much to all
with
the
your
panelists.
permission, we'll felicitate the guests. If you
Yes,
can just...
please. Yes, please. Yes.
So proud privilege from Amity University, Dr. Thomas. Such a pleasure to have you, and we will continue to look forward to your more dynamic sessions, specifically for our science students. We, with utmost respect, confer the Amity Women Leadership Excellence Award, and really hope that more and more women scientists are born each and every moment of our country. Ms. Tapa Sanyal, I'm sure that more women are joining the IPS already, but again, with due respect, please accept the Amity Corporate Excellence Award.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Harpreet, pleasure to listen to you always, and you have become a part of the Amity family and on our advisory board, and we look forward to many more opportunities. Please accept this Amity Corporate Excellence Award.
Thank you.
Ms. Shilpa Ajwani, entrepreneurship is something very close to the hearts of Amity also, and we feel that job creators are wonderful, and coming on this forum has been a pleasure for us. Thank you, and please accept Amity Corporate Excellence Award on behalf.
Thank you and congratulations for a great award.
Ms. Sonal Jindal, another entrepreneur and another job creator. I'm sure Atmanirbhar Bharat with a lot of women entrepreneurs is soon in the making. We are very proud to confer upon you the Amity Corporate Excellence Award. And Shalini, who just left us because of hard stop. But to each one of you, our sincere gratitude on behalf of our founder president, our very respected chairperson, ma'am, Pooja ma'am, thank you for joining us. It was an honor for all of us to have you here. And we continue to look forward to more inspirational and motivational sessions with all of you. On behalf of the 185,000 students and faculty members and staff of Amity family, thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, wonderful families of Amity. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kavita, I'll hand it over to you for the next session.
Thank you, everybody. Have a safe and a wonderful life ahead. We will be meeting soon in a physical ambience. Now, I would like to invite ladies and gentlemen for the kind information. We have our next plenary session lined up, Focus Germany, strengthening Indo-German relations by nurturing people, policy, and possibilities towards new academic alliances. We welcome Mohammed Ashfaq. Very good evening, sir, and good afternoon to you. And
hello, and good evening from Germany.
Yeah, Dr. Gandhur, good evening, and we welcome you here, Mr. Raju. It is a proud moment for all of us to have you here. And now I would like to hand over this session to my colleague, Dr. Manoj Sharma, for announcing strategic partnership between Amity University and North American Business College, Canada. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Thapliyal. It's been most mesmerizing session on women we have just witnessed, and from women who's been always a source of motivation. We are now switching over to a strategic announcement between Amity University and the Canadian College Institution in Toronto. We are, give me a moment. So today, a history is going to be created at Amity University and North American College of Business joining hands together. Amity University and North American Business College, Canada, have most cordially decided to join hands to announce their strategic relationship in spheres of academic mobility, delivery of joint program, short-term student mobility, and beyond. To kickstart these collaborative strategic relationship, may I have the honor and the permission from the distinguished visionary leaders from both the institution for launching these initiatives. May I, sir?
Please go ahead, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you. May we have the screen shared?
So, Dr. Sinha, we're just announcing the historical partnership that has taken place between Amity, and thank you for joining us today. We are very happy to join hands with the North American Business College of Sciences and Languages, Canada.
Good morning, Dr. Sinha. This is Dr. Sharma.
Hi, Dr. Sharma. How are you?
Lovely to have you here. We were just about to kickstart. Before the next session start, it's a privilege and an honor to announce this partnership. We were just waiting for your joining.
Thank you so much.
So
wonderful again, as usual.
Right.
I've been working with Dr. Gurinder Singh, wonderful man. I can tell you this. Yeah, very inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Sinha, you can take your time. I know that it's very early in Toronto.
Yeah, that's
so
okay.
If you want to take 4 or 5 minutes, maybe that we can. You can take your time, and then we can start. No problems.
Thank you.
So, Pratiman, we can unshare the screen and let us welcome our guests from Germany. We are very, very happy to have all of you here, and it's a pleasure and privilege to welcome you to the special session which we are hosting as a part of the 22nd International Business Horizon. Dr. Kavita, over to you for introductions of the speakers.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon to all the eminent panelists, and welcome to INBUSH Era 2022. It is a historic day for each one of us. 22 years of legacy for International Business Horizon, second day, where just before the session, we had a very exuberant session on women empowerment. And now we are moving to Focus Germany, strengthening Indo-German relations by nurturing people, policy, and possibilities towards new academic alliances. Dear audience who is watching us live, let me take a privilege to introduce the eminent panelist for the session today. We have Mr. Martin Sengwan, Managing Director and CEO, Mercedes-Benz India. We welcome you, sir. We welcome Professor Dr. Nguthar Shaki, Research Director, European Center for Mechanonautics, FN Ashan University. We have with us Ms. Lakshmi Lalit Mohan, Head and Representative, France and Germany, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII. We welcome you, ma'am. We have Professor Dr. Muhammad Ishfaq, Academic Director, International and Program Director, Digital Business, IU International University of Applied Sciences in Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, bilateral relations between India and Germany are founded on common diplomatic principles and are marked by a high degree of trust and mutual respect. Prime Minister Nehru and Chancellor Noor established Indo-German diplomatic relations in 1951. India was among the first countries to establish diplomatic ties with the Federal Republic of Germany, and this year the two countries celebrated 70 years of diplomatic relations. Germany is India's most important trade partner in the EU and its sixth most important trading partner worldwide. Since India embarked on the course to reform and open its economy in 1991, the volume of trade between the two countries has increased rapidly. Development cooperations focuses on the following areas: energy and energy efficiency, sustainable urban development, and environmental and resources protection. In addition, German development cooperation supports the economic participation of women and the setting up of the practice-oriented dual vocational training systems and provides stimulus for innovative practices and approaches towards the social policy and promoting startups. German universities see India as an important partner, aims at further strengthening the existing academic collaborations and creating possibilities for cooperation that goes beyond the convention. The objective of this panel discussion focus Germany strengthening Indo-German relations by nurturing people policy and possibilities towards new academic alliances is to further strengthen the bilateral cooperation in the field of higher education between India and Germany. This session will foster new paradigms for academic alliances and cooperation with universities and institutions, India and Germany, to customize educational pathways for international and domestic students. Now, for the profile introduction, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Manoj, to take over, and then to Dr. Singh for his opening remark. Over to you, Dr. Manoj.
Thank you, Dr. Thaplia. It's my pleasure and honor both to take this initiative announcing briefly the profile of our distinguished guests. So we'll start with Mr. Martin Schwenk, Managing Director and CEO, Mercedes-Benz India. Martin joined Mercedes-Benz India on November 1st, 2018 as a Managing Director and CEO. He has over 25 years of experience in the German and international operations of Mercedes-Benz. He has held various important positions in finance and controlling in the varied set of markets, including Germany, South Africa, Austria, and the United States, with a leading role on many critical projects and business processes in the biggest automotive market in the world. We welcome you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Professor Dr. Gunther Schark, Research Director, European Center for Mechatronic, FS, Aachen University, Germany. Professor Stark had studied electrical engineering at the Aachen University, RWTH. After having received a diploma degree in the electrical engineering, he continued as a director engineer at the university. In 1985, he started into an industrial career in the Swedish ABB ESAB robotic group. He became head of the German robotic department at the same ABB premises near Frankfurt. Professor Stark has also extensive knowledge in research and technology development programs, which are based on national or European funding scheme. In this context, he was coordinator of numerous successful research projects funded by the German government and or by the European Commission, with partners from industry and also from international research institutes and from academia as well. Welcome, Professor Stark, on this panel.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Ms. Lakshmi Lalita Mohan, Head Confederation of Indian Industry in Germany. Ms. Mohan is involved in promotion of industrial cooperation and bilateral relationships, trade, foreign and direct investments, joint ventures, and technical collaboration between India and Germany, primarily promoting India as a destination for trade and investment. Her role as the head of CII Germany and Europe is also to build strategic partnership and maintaining relationship with all stakeholders for CII on behalf of industry in Germany and European Union. This includes relationship with counterpart organizations and associations within Germany and across EU. Ms. Lakshmi's role on behalf of CII is also to open and maintain dialogue with scientific and research institutions, universities, academia, skill development bodies, and institutions of excellence in quality managing and manufacturing. We welcome you on board, Ms. Lakshmi. Thank you for joining us today. Our next guest is Mr. Vengapandu Venkat Nagaraju, President, German Veracity Indo-Euro Synchronization. Mr. Venkat finished his graduation in the field of aerospace engineering and accomplished his master's degree also in the same field with RWTH Aachen University, Germany. During his bachelor's and master's, he accomplished complex projects in an Indian Space Research Organization at Sriharikota Rocket Launching Station, India, and Supersonic and Hypersonic Department and German Aerospace Center. Further, he also worked in Finland, Netherlands, and in India. Being an entrepreneur and observing the technology lack in the Indian small medium scale sector, he took a wonderful initiative towards India for upgrading the technology from university level itself in the field of research and innovation by founding Indo-Euro synchronization. Further, it as a German Center for Advanced Studies. In this process of technology upgradation, Mr. Venkat joined hands with the world-renowned research centers and took an initial step in the field of industrial automation. Welcome on board, Mr. Venkat. We have Professor Dr. Mohammad Ashfaq, Academic Director, International and Program Director, Digital Business, International University of Applied Science in Germany. Professor Ashfaq is widely recognized as an outstanding and experienced business and finance expert with more than 13 years of international experience. He is currently working as a professor of finance and accounting at IU International University of Applied Science in Germany. Professor Ashfaq is the author of the book Islamic Banking and Finance in Europe, The Case of German and United Kingdom. He has contributed to the development of the Islamic financial industry through his cutting-edge research, industry-specific training, and global initiative for human capital development and organizational capacity building. He's also conducted a TV lecture series on Islamic finance for Pagiham TV network. Professor Ashfaq is a certified coach and consultant from HW Network, NRW, Germany, and certified trainer from the Australian Centre for Education and Training, ACET, Melbourne. He has earned certification in innovation, management, and entrepreneurship from International Summer University, Kariantia, Austria. Welcome on board, Professor. We are so thankful for your presence. Over to you, Dr. Thapliyal, for your next stage proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj. And now the time has come, dear students, those who are watching us and listening us live. You are pouring me a lot of questions, and I can understand your excitement. So to begin the panel discussion, I would first love to hear the stories of the legends who are there on the board. And I would love to go first to Mr. Martin. Benz is a mission for many young minds. To be at Mercedes-Benz is a benchmark for people, and many young minds love to be there. A lot of students are eager to hear your story. So in a brief, if you can give them your story, your ups and downs, and the journey of success to be here at the launchpad of Benz. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I was hoping that I can quickly share a few words and a few slides to the company and to the whole transfer of India to Germany and back. But maybe I start with a few words to myself and then I put in this brief presentation, if that's fine by your schedule. So by myself, I mean, I'm technically an engineer. So I studied in Stuttgart some more than 30 years ago at the university in Stuttgart. I worked in quality department first of Mercedes-Benz 30 years ago. And after subsequently, I had many different developments. So I went from quality to a finance field where I was stuck for many years. In that sense that I worked, and it was already in the introduction being spoken about, I worked in many different countries, in South Africa and the US, and one was missing, which was very impressive to me as well, was my, before I came to India, that was in China. So all these cultural experiences and always seeing the mix between, at Mercedes-Benz, the mix between, say, German culture, German company culture, and then the local and domestic cultures is extremely interesting and very fruitful. And I find that as well here in India. If you allow me, I would want to share 3-4 slides to give a little bit some of our thoughts and impressions forward. Then we can maybe see what we do with that, because I think Mercedes-Benz in India is really an example of German indoor. Let me see whether I can get that into full screen mode. Yeah, maybe I can, maybe not. Yeah, can you see it anyways? Yeah, so
yeah, we can see it. You can press F5. It will be on full screen.
F5.
Anyway, so we can see it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so because I believe Mercedes-Benz here is for a long time in the country already, and if I move to my next slide, you will understand where my feeling comes from. You were speaking about 70 years of Indo-German relationships. Our relationship here goes back almost that far. It's close to 70 years with industrialization and joint venture activities with Tata, and then since 27 years, we are situated here in the Pune area with our own production and sales operations. We have a strong footprint in Bangalore, which was established shortly after, you see, 1996, with a large R&D facility. And we have a very strong, for more than 10 years, you would know about Benz and Daimler Financial Services functions, which are also a testament to the strong relationship between India and Germany. And I would want to hone a little bit on what this relationship means and what the aspiration is with that. I mean, the strong relationship which we are having, at the end, it is to benefit and to use for transfer of knowledge, of products, of innovation, of services. And I can say for our brand, it is always with the ambition to lead. It's to lead in the industry. And we have, for this year, we have a motto which is called You First. It really embeds what we want to achieve in this situation. With this ambition, I'll give you a few examples just to explain how transfer of competence and knowledge goes in both directions, because I was taking your motto here as a lead into the topic. We have in India implemented what we call retail of the future. We are one of the first markets to do that. It's a direct sales to customer model in the sales operations. That is something that has not been done in India at all before. It's something which is very much at the forefront of today's retail operations, whilst you have in the traditional model, a manufacturer sells to a dealer, the dealer sells to a customer. In our model, which we have introduced only a few weeks ago, you see that the customer has a direct contracting with Mercedes-Benz India when he purchases a vehicle. On the other hand, we have our franchise partners, which is the traditional dealer who facilitates the sale. And it has massive advantages to customers in terms of they get always the best price. They have the full inventory, which we have on hand in India, and not only what a particular dealer would have in inventory. And there is for sure an improved journey between online and offline. I'm making these points because I believe we benefit here in that situation of trends which are outside of India, which we then bring to the country and also try to implement and work and create, in my view, also quite some traction with that. I give another example which goes into the electric vehicle space. The transformation in the auto industry has completely started. I mean, now everyone talks electric. And we have been in India the first brand who actually launched what we call EQ, our brand, in the year 2020. Also followed with the first luxury electric vehicle in India, the EQC. This year we will bring the top of the range product, our EQS, which we will then also, and I want to focus here and emphasize that as well, we will bring this car also as a locally produced car, and it will be the first locally produced luxury electric vehicle in India. Again, a lot of transfer of competence, integration of processes, and a joint collaboration here. In my view, also a very, very good example of how we work together. But again, this type of transfer and collaboration is not a one-way street. I already mentioned that we have a strong R&D facility and function in Bangalore, and some of the colleagues sit here in Pune. We have at Mercedes-Benz RDI, Research and Development, we have a couple of thousand engineers who are at the forefront of vehicle development for the global markets. What you see here is an example which is called MBUX Hyperscreen. That is, you see a full dashboard which is set out of screens and technology behind that is being used in this EQS I was talking about. A lot of these technologies are being developed. Software is coded and supported for the global network here. So what you see is, on the one hand, we benefit in bringing and localizing products here. On the other hand, competence, know-how, and technology is transferred the other direction. But it's not all about high-end and latest and whatever technology. I would also want to make a point, which is when I'm talking at MET, which I think is also very important to us. We have already for several years introduced what we call ADAM course, which is the Advanced Diploma in Automotive Mechatronics. And some of you would be familiar with apprenticeship programs in Germany, for example. And we were looking for how can we support the development of local trained technical specialists. How can we support that? And we have partnered up with around 9 different institutes and colleges all over India. In the meantime, 1,200 students have graduated from that one-year program. And what you see here is now this program is also not standing still. We have introduced now within the need of the time what we call the electric vehicle module, also now to create competence and grow people. In this case, you see a good example from Pune. Create and train and develop people, young students in the field of technical and electric vehicles. So I'm closing with a very last slide here, and I just wanted to say, in my view, there is a lot of opportunities which we can leverage and further work on. I mean, your title was nurturing people, policies, possibilities. I think the possibilities are almost endless. The policies are not always supporting, I have to be honest, but the possibilities are there to a large extent. And I can see on the examples which we have done in the past and also going forward, what a strong relationship between Germany and India and within our company is driving. And I can just, I think I speak for at least all colleagues in our company. It has been very, very beneficial for the many years we are now here together in Pune in India. Yeah, that's my brief introduction, and yeah, with that I would want to hand back to you. I'm not sure how to.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for the wonderful insight and the kind of association what BENS have in India. And I believe that this relationship speaks as a caselet to the students and also to the internship opportunities that you have mentioned. I think this is one of the area where the STEM is being one of the biggest segment of learning. And I would also like to welcome Dr. Wajahat Hussain, Chief Executive Officer, Amity Education Middle East, who have joined us. Welcome, sir, to this great panel discussion. We have also been joined by Lieutenant General J. Sikand, retired DAA. We welcome you, sir. And this is one of a wonderful association like India and Germany. And for your kind information, all the panelists here in Amity, our founder president has understood the insight of the foreign languages, and German is one of the most sorted courses which our students take for the collaboration and relationship building. And now I would like to move to Professor Muhammad Ashfaq. We were discussing and the kind of insight you carry and the kind of expertise you bring from your vast experience. I would like to hear, and the students are interested to know your story. What attracted you to German, and what is your story that you would like to give here to the youngest mind who are looking forward to take the insight from your inspiring words? Over to you. Just a shot for 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, invitation, and I would like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this great conference and this great discussion. I came to Germany as an international student. As we mentioned, and you mentioned earlier, Germany is a very attractive place for many reasons: for education, for industry, for collaboration, for culture, for art, and so on. And when I came here, I found a lot of opportunities, and Germany is a land of opportunities for those people who would like to come here, study, and make a change positive to our society. So it provides great opportunities, regardless of your age, your sexual orientation, your religion. And after I did my MBA, then I was working at multinational companies in Germany and Europe. I finished my PhD and became professor after having significant experience of industry. I would like to just briefly give you an overview of what we are doing at IU so that the participants can get better insights. Can you see the screen, please?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we are at IU, International University for Applied Sciences in Germany. Our mission is to empower the people to grow, and we have built one of the sophisticated educational tech platform so that the people can realize their potential, and by having personalized and high quality education at scale. So this is our largest vertically integrated education platform, where we have different segments for our delivery of education system, and we have fast and the most modular content, where we have more than 1,000 content modules and 150,000 learning hours in our library. And we are one of the largest private state accredited university, where we have more than 1,800 professors, freelancers, and lecturers that are delivering education. Recently, we have also collaborated in UK, so the participants can have, the students can have access to dual degree programs. As you can see from this exponential growth, by the end of 2021, we are having more than 90,000 students all over from the world, thanks to our one of the largest e-learning system that we have developed. And here, if we look at the reasons why we are the best, because we have also designed AI-driven IU learning app that provides high-quality content, both offline as well as in-class usability. And we believe that the education all over the world is changing, and we started developing e-learning content not only after COVID-19, but almost 20 years ago. We started working on that. And here we have, and our focus is broadly into different study programs, including engineering management. As I said, we have a double degree with London South Bank University, UK, and we are offering artificial intelligence, computer sciences, data sciences that are the needs of the hour. According to a recent report of World Economic Forum, in Europe, we have still more than 50,000 IT-related jobs that are vacant. So that means we need international talent so that the European economies can use them for the development. And not only we have bachelor's and master programs, we have also nano degrees and diplomas so that we can provide specialized education for upskilling of the industry professionals. So we believe, and our vision is everybody can access education to grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this wonderful insight and how your university is collaborating and bridging this gap. This is a great insight. Now I would like to hear from Mr. Raju. You have been an inspiration to the young iconic minds. Tell us something about your journey and your ups and downs also, because many times we only hear the rosy gardens, but what about the challenges one prevail? So what were the toughest part in your journey and what were the best learning takeaways? Our students are interested to hear from you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita, for the opportunity, and also thank you, Dr. Manoj Sharma, and also your GVC sir, Dr. Singh, for having such a platform today to interact with 185,000 Amity family. Very happy to interact. My story actually started by the finishing of my masters in Germany. I could say that. Otherwise, the typical Indian student who is actually finishing bachelor's and coming to the masters in Germany and all. So the thought provoking for me is actually how best we can support the industry, because I always consider the industry is a boss, and again, the end customer or the student is the boss who is giving the opportunity, who is taking the opportunity. So everybody between them will be the connectors and creating the ecosystem. So then I started okay, how we really can support the Indian industry and the Indian universities by actually connecting the bridges. So that's how our intention and vision is to create a German technology platform in Indian university itself, where the students are going to be ambassadors for the country to support the industry, to develop the companies and also country financial ecosystem and financial bridges. And on a good side, we are able to have a very good bridges and to connect on all these things. The challenges side, we started to create ecosystem which is not existed before. Or maybe we taken some kind of ecosystem creation which is completely new in the another dimension, because we taken all the existing modalities of the exchange and cooperations and the industry linkages, but we started actually adopting the Indo-German perspective into it. That's how we are able to impact more than 25,000 students in last few years with 80 plus locations across India, with 11 plus universities and 5 plus state governments actually collaborating with us. So while coming to the challenge, maybe I should not complain much, because everybody is facing a challenge because of the COVID, as we are actually working as an ambassador between both the countries towards education and research, and also in a strategic relationship and partnership. This education is standing is a very strong pillar between the countries. So this pandemic has definitely affected in every region, and especially when we are having this kind of international migration and relations between the universities, this exchange is impacted. This was a challenge we faced. The initiatives what we have taken is well received and well accepted, and that was the reason I able to form a consortium of German varsity, where even we are also partnered with IU, and even actually, as Mr. Martin mentioned, we are also very actively involving your Adam course, and very much in communicate with your colleague Mr. Ashiv Salvi in a Mercedes. So, and also at the same time very having connecting dots with, for example, Dr. Manoj Sharma and Mr. Prithiman is really exploring what is the different modalities will be working with Amity universities. So this kind of the 360-degree ecosystem of student learning. So actually our organization, our university ecosystem, what we are building is try to understand and try to get awareness what you really would like to have in higher education or your employment during your bachelor studies itself. So this was the one challenge being an Indian student they used to encounter without understanding the complete side of higher education in the other part of the world across the borders. They simply used to jump it because in the Indian social ecosystem, okay, get into the engineering, okay, then get a job or go on and go for higher studies, then finish your higher studies, get a job, get married, and produce kids. So this is a line of action what Indian students used to face. But actually, this is our responsibility also to give awareness, like okay, actually what really happening in the other side of the world. So by having roots from India and having a footprint in Germany, this created a very good opportunity for us to create this ecosystem of Indo-Euro synchronization. And also in 2012, I think the impact of Industry 4.0, robotics and mechatronics is hardly impacting and greatly impacting from Germany to other side of the world. And we started our initiative in 2013 in the same sector. And our Skill India mission started in 2014. I think 6 months before we started actually skill initiatives between India and Europe. That was the reason actually even we were able to interact with embassies and consulates, and even Prime Minister was here, so we were able to interact with this kind of topics with actually all other delegates in the policy side too. So whenever now our involvement also includes with different sector skill councils. Even today morning also I was a part of this automotive sector skill council, and earlier with electronic sector skill councils, in order to define the course curriculums. So from not only actually creating a program, and also we are participating also in creating a policy for the vocational education. Of course, since 2001, it is creating a great impact of vocational education from Germany to India. Even 2001 itself, actually, we have IMOVE program from Germany, and but this kind of a different dimension given an opportunity for us to work with industries like a Mercedes and universities like IU and Indian university like Amity, and moreover the industry association like a CII. So this kind of ecosystem we are able to create. Of course, the challenge is to bring all the points together. So people will take really good amount of time to understand the new things. So this is the one side is a time taking a process between the building bridges between across the borders. The another challenge is of course the pandemic effect. And the third challenge is our social mentality of Indian students in order to actually accept the change. These are the three things I would like to say, Dr. Kavita.
Thank you, Mr. Raju. And now I would like to move to Professor Gonthar. Professor, your journey and your knowledge, especially in the area of research that you have navigated, a well-known expert in mechatronics and robotics, which is also the future of the new age learners. What would you like to give, and what would you like to inspire the young minds in the field of STEM, and how do you see the future of these two collaborative countries synergizing together? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, what is to see, what is to expect in this century 21, and what is the interaction which can be successful between India and Germany? And we already recognized, okay, a lot of ideas and a lot of initiatives, okay, between India and Germany in terms of direct investment of German companies in India, establishing production facilities and so on. And we see in both countries, okay, the manufacturing industry is the most important sector. That means, okay, in the future, what we really expect, okay, is, okay, we need to cope with the challenges which come up. Okay, we see there's a big change due to the globalization, due to the global competition we have on the markets. And we see, okay, there is a change of the markets, including the change of the customer demands. We need more fast reaction in manufacturing to follow the market demands, to be in front. That means, okay, the most basic question is how can we get our economy and our situation of industry in good health? So, and this is the guideline, okay, which gives us ideas how to meet the challenges of the coming future. So, and what do we see? Okay, we see new technologies are coming up. They are permanently changing innovations, new innovations come up. And as everybody knows, currently we are facing a very big challenge, and this is our digital transformation. We have it in Germany, and you have it also in India. Together with automation and better productivity and more efficiency in production, we have to cope with this digital transformation problem. And we see in Germany, especially in the area of SMEs, it's the degree of digital transformation is very, very low. That means, okay, we need to have experienced engineers in future, which can help us, okay, to bring this digital transformation forward. Many technologies are already available. But, okay, what is necessary? We need people who are creative and who are in a position to bring this new technologies together to come to a digital transformation, to increase productivity. And, okay, as far as the technologies are concerned, okay, we use more efficient production technologies. For instance, the use of artificial intelligence. Raj mentioned already, okay, we did a lot in the area of robotics. The next step of robotics is to make robots more intelligent, to integrate vision, to integrate artificial intelligence, to use robots not only for production, but only for logistic applications. Robots are also expected more and more for rehabilitation and in the medical sector. And even outside in the agriculture area, we see first field robots are working. That means there's a tremendous capability of young students, okay, to be creative in the different fields of engineering. So that means, okay, to do this, of course, we have a special adaptation of our education. We need to exchange, okay, what is the best way and how can we implement the best academic practices to enable students, okay, to get this so-called industry-ready education. So, and okay, my message to the students is, of course, okay, don't focus on the syllabi, okay, you are learning inside your university studies. Look also outside, okay, try to learn out of the syllabi also. This is very, very important. And in this way, okay, we try to exchange, okay, to learn other countries, to learn other industries, to have a look into, for instance, Daimler, Mercedes, or BMW, or Volkswagen in Germany. Try to extend your skills. And this will help you later on to be more creative, to have the ability in problem solving. If you get a problem, okay, you are forced in principle to find a solution for that. And it is sometimes difficult, and this needs some experience. And this experience comes also from hands-on experience or learning by doing. That means besides theory, okay, we need also to have chances given to the students to work more practically. And the practical capability is, of course, given in internships, in visits to research institutes, visits to industries, and so on. That means, okay, for the moment, I see two mainstreams. First of all, keep the manufacturing industry or the industry as well in both countries in good health. And on the other side, take care, okay, and adapt, okay, the academic education to the needs of the future. Facing all the aspects, okay, are already mentioned as far as Industry 4.0, digital transformation, and so on is concerned.
Thank you, Professor, for throwing such a wonderful insight that collaborations and seeing from the eyes, visualizing the thing out of the box, moving from the narrow walls of academic curriculum, visualizing things on a practical orientation is something which will bring synergy. We at Amity have this great practice of cultivating the understanding of global markets and global needs. Our two very exclusive programs, 3-continent program, which gives immense exposure to students to have a life exposure of the amalgamating culture and a cross-cultural fusion, and the study abroad program is something which brings the true learning of the industrial insights of the globe. I think you rightly mentioned practice, practical exposure, and not just defining and confining themselves to the curriculum and cases. We have to nurture the practical orientation to the learners. As Mr. Raju also said, when you expose yourself to a different environment, you learn by trial and error. You practice yourself, and many times you learn the new skills which you innovate. I think the students who are listening us live will definitely take these insight. And now I would like to invite Ms. Lakshmi. Your experience is something which is very enriching. Your journey from the helms of collaborativeness and the role that you headed as the federation at CII in Germany and Europe has really brought to build strategic partnership and maintaining relationship with the stakeholders. So what would you like to, give the insights to our students who are looking forward for such collaborative initiatives? So from your end, what is your message?
Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today from India and also Germany and any other part of the world, I am so honored and I'm so pleased to be part of this very distinguished panel. Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm also a German business lawyer. I have an LLM in corporate security and compliance. I had the Confederation of Indian Industry, both for France and Germany. And last year, I co-founded a health tech company, OncoCoin AG. It's registered in Switzerland, which is actually using AI and blockchain for new drug discovery. Thank you so much, Amity, for organizing this very important session. When I woke up this morning, 24th of February, it started dark because of what's happening in Ukraine. Very sad, not only for Europe, but actually for the world. So I'm so happy that Amity today is speaking about partnerships, about unity, about collaboration. And I think there should be more such discussions for a peaceful world. And I'm sure that, your 2 days event will highlight, discuss, and draw up an action plan to a new and forward-looking path, also for an enlarged Indo-German partnership. And this, you will agree, dear students, is extremely important because, both our countries are torchbearers of shared democratic values and both the countries are contributing immensely with their human capital to build a more connected, a more digital, and a more equitable tomorrow. So in this context, apart from deepening our bilateral trade relations, emphasis is being laid for many years now on a strong collaboration in the areas of new and renewable energy. The German ambassador just mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Technologies, education, skills, research, science and technology. The governments of both India and Germany, in close cooperation with Indian and German industry, and this is being done through CII, and our counterpart organization, which is BDI, stands for the Federation of German Industries. We have formed an advisory group to build a strategic partnership in key areas like Industry 4.0. And we've been, having regular interactions both between Indian and German companies to discuss a closer cooperation in this area. Germany recognizes that India is an economically rising superpower, and it is the largest democracy in the world, and it's the fourth largest military power. India is not only producing, a striking amount of top talent, currently leading innovative tech giants, but also numerous unicorns each year with a market valuation of over $1 billion US. And it's so impressive, and we see it also in the German media, that 30% of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies now are of Indian origin. Examples like IBM, Alphabet, Google, Twitter, Microsoft, MasterCard, Nokia. So India is not only training a record number of scientists and engineers for India, for itself, but also for the Western world. We see many examples in the United States, and I'm sure that, in the times to come, with more Indians coming into Europe and Germany, we will also see that happening in Europe. In 2021 alone, 44 startups in India became unicorns with a total valuation of 100 billion euros. And the world is definitely looking more now than ever to partner with India. Even in the past, German scholars have, had a very, very special affinity for Sanskrit, for the Indian mythology, for literature and philosophy. And there is even a talk now, will Germans actually eventually be the custodians of Sanskrit, its rich heritage and culture? There is a huge demand for Sanskrit and Indology courses in Germany. And so, it was even so that, unable to cope with the flood of applications from around the world, the South Asia Institute in the University of Heidelberg had to actually start a summer school for Sanskrit in Switzerland, Italy, and even in India. In Germany, we have 14 of the top universities that are teaching Sanskrit and Indology, and compared to the UK, you just have 4 there. So there's a huge interest in India, for India in Germany. The summer school spans a month in August every year, and there are so many applications from across the globe. Now, speaking about the Confederation of Indian Industry and the work we have done in terms of education, is that our association with Germany actually goes back to 30 years. So our first country office was opened in 1995. And CII then established and concluded several partnerships between CII and German and European universities in research, development, innovation, like with Steinbeis Foundation, Fraunhofer Research Institute. And CI was also one of the initiators of the first postgraduate master's program in production engineering for Indian students in English language in the universities of Aachen, Humboldt, and Heidelberg back then. And today, you see more than 25,000 Indian students who come every year to Germany. And this was not the case when we moved to Germany in 1997. You didn't have that many Indians back then, so it's definitely increasing. Between 2010 and 2020, the number of people with Indian citizenship in Germany rose from 48,000 to now 151,000. So it's an increase from 0.7% to 1.6%. The Indian diaspora is definitely growing. There was also a very interesting study recently, mentioning that Indians in Germany, on an average, have higher incomes than the German average. And so we are making a positive contribution to the German economy and society. The Indian footprint in Germany is growing in terms of students coming here. I mentioned that. We have more and more exchange programs, academic partnerships, and of course also a growing number of Indian companies. So according to a study that we conducted from CII together with EY, we found that the top 74 Indian companies have generated an annual revenue of 11 billion euros and employ nearly 24,000 people in Germany. And this number is growing every year. Germany is also making huge contributions in terms of skills development in India. And I'm so honored to be part of this panel with Mr. Martin Schwenk from Mercedes-Benz, and from CII. We applaud that India's largest luxury car manufacturer, Mercedes, is continuing its contribution to the Skill India initiative of the government to develop highly skilled manpower for the automotive industry. Germany has very forward-looking, research-oriented institutions that are world-renowned, and it's an excellent place for Indian students to come and study in Germany. The new coalition government, as you all know, dear students, we have a new chancellor in Germany, Olaf Scholz from the SPD, after 16 years of Angela Merkel. So the new coalition government has recently announced that this country needs to recruit approximately 400,000 skilled workers from abroad, not only to address, the demographic imbalance that Germany has, but also we have a labor shortage here in key sectors. So after you finish your studies at Amity, there is a lot of opportunity for you to come to Germany because we need skilled people in so many areas. Of course, there are bureaucratic hurdles here that must be eased from the German government. So from CII, we are also giving inputs to the German governments when, Indians or Indian companies face bureaucratic hurdles. I would like to just end my statement by mentioning that CII, together with the prestigious Frankfurt School of Finance and Management, we have launched the first ever Indo-German Center for Business Excellence in Germany. This is a registered association under German law with a non-profit tax status. And our aim is basically to, connect students with corporates and organizations. And we spoke just in our last meeting that we would love to have Amity University also partner with us for in this India Center in Frankfurt. And so you see that there's immense potential for collaboration between our countries. And I look forward to the further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi, for giving such a wonderful insight. And I'm sure that the students who were listening would have taken up very positive notes about the future aspirations, the career progressions, and also about the connect which Sanskrit and German had together. So I think the tone has been right set, and I would move to the next question quickly, and would like to ask this question from Mr. Benz. Martin, this question is related to the e-mobility that has been one of the big, area of concern. How are India, German building an integrated and robust e-mobility ecosystem for strengthening sustainable transportation? What is your take on this?
Yes, what I see in India is a big focus in several areas. It's clearly on the agenda for the government to push for electrification, to go to sustainable vehicles. And I can say most manufacturers, and specifically also the German manufacturers, put a lot of efforts in providing products, designing products in the first step, which will then be solely battery electric driven. And I think that is probably the biggest contribution that can happen, is that sharing the common vision of going to a sustained future in say carbon reduced or free footprint, and then leveraging the competences between the two countries. I was making that example to some extent when I was talking about our R&D capabilities in Bangalore, as well as our intent to not only develop vehicles, but also to bring and produce them also in India, which at the same time brings then not only the development but also the production competence and the sales and network competence, and it has then an impact across the entire value chain, so to say. And I think, the journey has only begun, but the next years we will see certainly a future which is very strong in that area, and a lot of more activities, I would assume, based on current development. And I have also to say, it's not only governments and companies, customers are also getting much more attuned, much more aware. Young people specifically are even more aware of, say, the needs of the planet, so to say. And I found that also here in India very often now that questions are, what are we doing in terms of sustainability and how can we support that?
Thank you so much for this wonderful insight and the bright future of India and the youth of India towards the e-transportation. And now I would like to hand over the thing back to my colleague, Dr. Manoj, for the curtain raising and strategic alliance partnership. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. It's been very interesting to hearing, and time passed flown actually, hearing such stimulating thought from each panel. So, with your permission, sir, can we kickstart the announcement?
Yes, please, Dr. Manoj, please.
Yeah, we also request Dr. Anurag Sinha to kindly open up your camera. Thank you so much. So this has been a historical day today, and to add further into it, we are announcing a unique partnership between Amity University and North American Business College at the strategic level. Amity University and North American Business College Canada have most cordially decided to join hands to announce their strategic relationship in spheres of academic joint mobility, delivery of various programs, student mobility, and beyond. So to kickstart this collaborative strategic partnership, may we have the honors and the permission from both the distinguished visionary leaders to announce launching these initiatives. May we have the curtain raiser, please?
Meanwhile, while we are just trying to, we are joined by Dr. Wajahat from Middle East, I see, and also Lieutenant General Sikand is with us. So 2 words while I just get the technical thing started. It will be a good, inspiring thing to listen from you also. Wonderful campus that we have in Dubai.
It's a pleasure to join this distinguished panel, and greetings from a very warm Dubai. I do know that some of the participants are in a very cold place at the moment, and so sunshine from here, wishing you all the best. And the association of Amity and Germany has been truly decades old, and with the background that the Chancellor and the family have in Germany, it is not natural that we are collaborating between these two great nations.
Dr. Manoj, please mute yourself. Sorry, Dr. Wajahat, please continue.
No, that's absolutely all right. And I would also go ahead and propose that the panelists from Germany and India, please come to a net neutral venue like Dubai and give us an opportunity to host you here and have more meaningful discussions on this wonderful campus that we have developed in Dubai. I look forward to seeing you here soon.
Maybe we can have another edition of our international conference at Dubai, Dr. Wajahat.
We should. And Dr. Gurinder Singh, I did write to you that, from where I see you, that you are an exemplary leader and a hero for me. Congratulations on another brilliant edition of INBUSH. And here we go.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So, sir, with your permission, and Anuragji, historical partnership, please do the honors and click a button.
Thank you, sirs.
Dr. Anurag, a few words from your side.
Hello and good morning, distinguished guests, speakers, and everybody watching and listening to this annual international conference, INBUSH 2022, from all over the world. I'm delighted and excited to be with you here. And on behalf of North American Business College and for Sciences and Languages, we are all thrilled to start this wonderful partnership with Amity University. This would benefit all students wishing to experience Canadian life and Canadian work practices. At the same time, this will also assist them in furthering their educations and capturing hands-on international experience. I can tell you, Canadian life will definitely give a boost to a lot of students who are looking to see this part of the world. At NAP College, we offer 15 various undergrads and postgrad diploma programs, 82 certification programs. And when I was listening to some of the delegates from Germany, we have certification for artificial intelligence, focused towards the market, focused towards the industry. That will definitely nurture them in bringing this. And the best part of these programs are they have in 2 official languages here in Canada, English and French. Those programs are recognized by provincials and federal bodies. With this partnership and thanks to ongoing efforts of Dr. Gurinder Singh and the staff of Amity University, I mean, it's really amazing that all Amity students will have an opportunity to take advantage of various types of programs that we would enable them to come and experience what Canada has to offer. From directors, students, counselors, to immigration, these all big team here in our campus, all eager to start helping all of you to achieve your goals and fulfill your dreams, Canadian dreams. One more thing, what I want to tell you is that we have been allocated this campus, the new campus, which is going to come up, will be in Toronto downtown. The space will be provided. And I just wanted to give you some of the glimpse of what the programs will look. We have some postgraduate diploma programs for in hospitality and tourism, in information systems and securities, in mobile application development, business intelligence and analysis, project management, and the best part is medical office administration. These programs are very focused towards industries which are now booming. The challenges which we faced during this pandemic, they have given new opportunities which we can focus on, and thanks to Dr. Gurinder Singh and his effort making this happen, it will be a historic partnership which we want to nurture and grow in a very big way. Thank you again, Dr. Gurinder Singh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sinha. And sir, without your comments, this partnership and this launch cannot be complete.
Thank you, Professor Bhavna Kumar. And I can see some very senior people from Amity, Dr. Wajahat Hussain from Dubai, Lieutenant General Sikand, and also very distinguished panelists who have joined us from Germany, Professor Raju, Mr. Martin, Professor Gunther, our own Ms. Lakshmi from CII, and many other very senior people who are present here. Very warm welcome to all of you to witness this historical partnership. Some meetings are fixed in heaven, I say. I think the meeting with Dr. Anurag Sinha was such meeting. I think many of you know that my son met with a very serious accident in Toronto. And we were trying to reach to the doctors, and somehow we knew some member of parliament in Canada, and we called him up. And he called up Dr. Sinha, who is an industrialist based in Mississauga. And he has got warehouses, he has got factories which are manufacturing aircraft, which are also into oil and whatnot. I went to their factories to see what kind of business interests they have. And I never knew that I will be meeting Dr. Anurag. and then since I was in Canada, I thought that let me explore that what MIT can do in Canada. And then someone told that, and the reference came from the Canadian High Commission, that there is one person, a bright engineer from IIT, who is creating a lot of new businesses in Canada. So I said I'd like to meet him. And we fixed a meeting. And when I met him, I came to know that Dr. Anurag Sinha, such a humble man, such a wonderful human being, he never told even that he was the one who carried my son to the hospital. And when he came to know that I was there, and then when the meeting was almost finishing, he very politely told me that maybe that honorable member of parliament has told you that I was the one who was responsible to take care of your son. Hope he is better now. So we felt so humbled that a person from Indian origin always has Indian values. Thank you so much, Dr. Sinha, for doing it. And then from
Please,
there,
thank you. It wasn't required. Please, I'm so embarrassed. I can't tell you this.
No, but Dr. Sinha, I think that, and that's what we believe, that at MIT we always thank those who are so humble. And I was really touched by the great human values you had. And that's why I'm saying that there are certain meetings which are fixed in heaven. And then Dr. Sinha said that we have got few colleges, and I said that we want to explore that how we can do that. And we started talking on education. And he came forward and he said that let's make a different kind of campus where instead of investing in infrastructure, you can take advantage of the already real estate which they have. And I went to see their campus in downtown Toronto, a very premium located campus, one of the most premium locations. And Dr. Sinha was kind enough to offer that we can start our operations from their building and can immediately start using their campus. We can open our office. And next two meetings, we came so close that today we are here, and only yesterday we signed the MOU. Thank you, Dr. Sinha. And we are going to be partners for life. And as I said, and as our founders always say, that there are meetings which are not fixed on earth, which are fixed somewhere else. And God always brings good people together. Thank you so very much. MIT looks forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. It was really honored to thank you again.
Thank you, sir. And with your permission, maybe now felicitate our distinguished panelists and special awardees who have taken time out and graced this panel discussion. So I would now request our Group Vice Chancellor and all panelists. So it was a privilege, Mr. Martin, to have you here on the panel. Thank you so much. And with utmost respect and gratitude, please accept the Amity Global Business Leadership Award. We look forward to continuing association with the German institutions and inspirational lessons from leaders like you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
We are also very privileged to confer the Global Academic Excellence Award. Professor Stark, thank you so much. You are an inspiration for academicians and universities across the world. And we look forward to welcoming you soon at our campus in India.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Venkatraju, thank you so much. You've already been to our campus, and you've been helping us build German alliances, and we hope to be able to foster many additional partnerships with your continued.
Thank you, Dr. Varna.
Lakshmi, always a pleasure and always very nice to see you. But next time it has to be in person. Last time also it was virtually. And I'm sure that soon, with now the changing scenario, we will be able to confer and give you this in person. Framed citations for all of these are very much in our office. And we hope to be able to confer the framed citation as well, so that they are memorable with your. Thank you, Lakshmi, but thank you for your wonderful address as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Such an honor. Thank you.
Dr. Ashfaq, again, an inspiration for the academic community and researchers worldwide, and all the faculty and people, the 185,000 students and faculty members of all Amity campuses have been inspired, and we look forward to continuing association.
Thank you so much. Pleasure having.
We also take honor in honoring our industry guests who have been the bridge and pillars that have helped Amity achieve the top 6 position in employability. Avinash Pandeyji, also on the member of our advisory board, we confer upon you the Corporate Excellence Award for continuously helping and mentoring our students. Mr. Ashutosh, thank you for joining us in this panel discussion today. And thank you for helping our students gain very, very important career skills and also helping them along their career progression paths. Would you like to speak for 30 seconds, Ashutoshi?
Thanks, Professor Bhavna. I think it is really a great institute. Amity as a institute, it is creating a whole change world for the students, in my opinion. So world is changing fast, and Amity is also giving that opportunity to the students. So I really appreciate all the efforts by the Amity management on that, and really feel very privileged to receive this award. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And Dr. Mahesh, thank you so much for also helping in bring a revolution through Kent RO systems. I also have a Kent RO system in my house. So we are very proud that you are also helping our students and also helping to get a better world in place. Some words of inspiration from you, sir?
Thank you, Bhavna, Professor Bhavna. Thank you, Gurinderji. Amity is a wonderful institution and bringing the future leaders to the country. And I do hope that you get a great success. Today, we are talking of future, and the future is great for Indian country. And you are really helping us to do that. And I thank you very much. And I thank you for honoring this award on me.
It is all a network of all the people coming together, mega community as we call, and one big Amity family with corporates and leaders together. We are also honoring Mr. Bharat Sharma for Amity Award in Logistics Services. This was a very exciting panel discussion. Over to you, Kavita.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we come to the end of this great second day INBUSH Era 2022. And would like to give special thanks to Dr. Manoj for bringing such luminaries here for this session. Pratik, your contribution is praiseworthy. Mr. Pratiman, without you, this entire linkages would not be possible. To the entire system of Amity, where students are alive since morning, their support makes such forums much more meaningful. To our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, chairperson, ma'am, because women's session, you are the inspiration for us. To Pooja ma'am, who has been a guiding force, to Atul sir, who has been a great inspiration to all of us. Dr. Gurinder Singh sir, without your support, the brainchild of INBUSH would have not grown up so mature. It is all your support, your blessings. And Bhavna ma'am, at the end, I would say that nothing is possible without you. To my worthy colleagues who are being the biggest support here, and I represent each one of the student and the faculty community of Amity Noida and Amity Greater Noida, and would like to thank all the luminaries, Mr. Raju, Mr. Martin, Professor Starkey, Ms. Lakshmi, Professor Muhammad, for being here and gracing us the wonderful insight. Without the collaboration of the industry, academia cannot survive. So thank you to all the industry captains who have been the mentors and the guiding force of inspiration to all the young minds. Thank you, everybody, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, and I request IT to close the session.